everyone, huge thanks to our sponsor OK Jersey. They are your go-to for the 2026 World Cup with a 4.5 Trustpilot rating to prove it. From high-performance player versions to retro classics. Kits start at just £15 with lightning-fast shipping. Get World Cup ready now at okjersey.com and use code Chris for an extra 8% off.
Hi everyone, hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. Of course, we'll be talking about this evening's game, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Brighton 2. That is the sort of fight and passion we have to see, and we have to demand to see that in the remaining 5 games, the 5 cup finals that we've got to play in the Premier League. Spurs were so unlucky not to get the 3 points today. Spurs remain 18th in the table. We are in the relegation zone still, 1 point from safety. Now, Forest play Burnley on Sunday afternoon and West Ham travel to Crystal Palace on Monday evening. So all eyes on those games, certainly. Now, we're live on YouTube, live on X and Facebook. Please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling about today's performance result. And let us know how you are feeling about Spurs being in the relegation zone. Are you more confident after today that we can get out of this mess? Now, De Zerbi in an interview has just said it was incredible atmosphere today. I'm sorry to the fans. We will fight every game and we will give our best. And Fabian Hertzler on will Tottenham Hotspur get out of this mess? He said, yes, definitely. They have unbelievable players in their squad. Now, as per usual, we've got 3 channel regulars with us. We've got Craig Dearman back with us. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, plenty to dive into today.
Plenty to talk about, exactly. Also back with us is Ricky Norwood. Rick, how are you?
In the house, my friend, in the house. Better performance today and can't wait to jump in with you and everybody else on the panel and all you beautiful people around the world. Let's get in, let's jump in and do the damn thing.
Also back with us, and it's been a while, from Ireland, Gareth McGuinness. Gareth, how are you?
Oh, good, Chris. Good to be back on. It could have been so much better, but look, I'm sure we'll get on it, and let's try and be positive, eh?
There is a lot to get into.
Now, just before we get into it, some of you might already know this, but I'm on the Fanalysis app, which is the new home for football, and I'd love you, as the viewers and listeners, to get involved. The Fanalysis app is free to download. Just use the QR code on the screen or in the link in the video or audio description, and make sure you follow me there. My handle is @ChrisCowlin. As you know, certain social media platforms are horrendous to be on at the moment. There is a lot of hate and bots, and it's always a nightmare to see the club hashtag getting invaded when it comes to talking about Spurs. Fanalysis has personalised hubs for each fan base, and I'd love to fill the Spurs one with more of you guys. On the app, you can rate the players, the manager, and even the referee after every match. There's also a fun feed on there, as well as polls to get the consensus of die-hard Spurs fans, and only we as Tottenham Hotspur fans can vote on them. I've actually just made a poll on the Spurs page, so make sure you get over there and vote on it.
Now, let's get into it. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Brighton 2. Pedro Porro put Spurs 1-0 up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium after 39 minutes. Matoma with a fantastic goal in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Javi Simmons with a fantastic finish on 77 minutes. We all thought that was going to be the winning goal, but Rutter in the 95th minute equalised for Brighton. As I mentioned at the start, Spurs remain 18th in the Premier League table. We have 31 points from 33 games, 5 games to go. West Ham are just above us, 32 points from 32 matches, and Nottingham Forest in 16th. They have 33 points from 32 matches. Leeds won again today, meaning that it does look like Leeds are out of this mess. They have 39 points from 33 games. The match facts and stats: Spurs had 42.4% of the ball. Brighton had 57.6%. XG, Spurs 1.12, Brighton 0.85. Shots, Spurs had 13, Brighton had 10. Shots on target, Spurs had 6, Brighton had 3. Total touches inside the opposition box, Tottenham Hotspur had 33 to Brighton's 31. Goalkeeper saves, Kinsey only made 1, Brighton 4. Aerial Jules 1, Spurs 13, Brighton 22, fouls committed 14 apiece. Spurs had 7 corners to Brighton's 5. Craig, I'm going to come to you first of all. What are your thoughts on today's game? So close to 3 points.
Yeah, so close. I I thought it was one of the better performances in recent memory, to be honest with you. I just thought we was going to get over the line, but you just knew in the back of your mind probably that Brighton were going to have that chance, and they took it. It was much better from everybody. You can see how much effort the players put in. I can see people. I get it, right? People online just well, we're done with it. These players, blah blah blah. The players tried today. They really, really put a shift in for me. And we just, I thought we probably deserved it on the balance of play but just couldn't get over the line, which is incredibly frustrating. Danzo's been getting a fair bit of stick as well online. You can't blame Kevin Danzo completely for this. There was errors for Mitoma's goal. There was errors leading up to the cross coming in for the goal in the 95th minute. So, yeah, it's so easy to say in hindsight, Danzo should have cleared it. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on during the match, which we'll get into, that, we could have been 2-0 up quite quickly just before Mitoma's goal, of course. So for me, it was a much better all-round performance. And I think if we play like that for the rest of the season, then we've got a chance. But we do like making things hard for ourselves.
Craig, after today's performance particularly, I know the result, obviously, I said to you off air, you've got to be winning these games, particularly when you're winning 2-1 in the 95th minute. And bearing in mind as well that we've only had 2 Premier League home wins all season. I think De Zerbi thought that we were going to actually get over the line, and he looked so disappointed when Brighton equalised, making it 2-2. But after today's performance, do you feel more confident that Spurs can get out of the relegation zone and get enough points to get to safety?
I think for me, it actually depends on the West Ham and Forest results this weekend. It really does, because if either of them lose or even just draw, then I would feel a bit better about it. If both of them win, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for us to get out of it. Yes, still mathematically possible, but I think that would be a huge kick in the nuts, to be honest, if both of them win. Of course, I'll take a draw from either of them, and then you're kind of back to square one. It's even Stevens. But you got to remember, Brighton were the informed team coming into this game. I think it was 5 wins out of 6. So we'd always know it was going to be tough. Yeah, we've actually got a better away record than Brighton this season in the Premier League. Bizarre, that is, when you think about it. But we knew it was going to be a tough game, and I think on another day we may well have crumbled. But there was, I saw something a little bit different today. You could see there was, you could see how much it meant to the players and how much the players wanted it. To have Maddison back on the bench, even though he didn't come on, it just gives everyone a boost. And Bentancur, I think, actually played pretty well, to be honest. So I know it's easy to say, but the Wolves game is 100% a must-win now. You could say they all are, to be fair, but yeah, it's going to be tough. But let's see what happens with West Ham and Forest.
Ricky, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on the performance and result today. I know you're a very, very positive person in life in general. There were a lot of positives today.
Yeah, for me, there was a lot of positives today. I've kind of been resigned to this Titanic of a team just going in one direction for a while now. And for me, the biggest thing that I noticed between us and Forest and Leeds and West Ham was the heart, was the will to fight, was that grit, was that desire to, stand up instead of fall over every single time we was challenged, And today, for the first time in a very long time, especially in the league, I saw us stand up. I saw us pass forward. I saw us play to score, play to win. I didn't see us playing for a throw on or a or a corner or whatever the case may be. We were looking to play forward. We were looking to create. We was looking to be on the front foot and be the dictators of this game. Now, as Craig said, Brighton are a good side and well drilled, and they're in a totally different mentality and headspace than we are right now. And at times when they wanted to cut through, they did, and they created their own opportunities. But we never stopped fighting today. We never stopped. It's the fittest that they've looked in a while. They passed full. I mean, I know you just read out the stats, but sometimes stats are I'm a bit dyslexic with stats sometimes. I see them and then I forget them straight away. But I think we passed forward more than we've ever done today. I think that the running of Conor Gallagher today was very good. Basuma, I thought, done well. Bentancur, it shows you how much we've missed Bentancur, because he's a bit of a metronome player. He can dictate pace, but he can also receive the ball and slow it down or speed it up, and he's not afraid to wrestle for it or to dribble around the player. So the midfield done well today, and they kept pushing forward. There were very few that I would give a low rating to, and I know we'll come to ratings a bit later, but there's only a couple that I would give low ratings to today. A lot of them put in a really good shift today. I felt that Kinski had another really good game, and you can see that with the footwork and the fact that he's had another game today, his passing, there was first touch passing, there was first touch pinging balls. It wasn't like up in the air loopy ones. He was trying to get it out to the wings and trying to get things moving. There was a lot of really good things today. And we were that close. Not only the first goal was always coming, and I'm so glad that Porro got it. But that second goal straight afterwards, when it hit the post from Xavi, and then Porro had a snapshot at it. If that is 2-0 at that point, I think everybody's heads and chests are risen, and I think that we keep pushing. But you know what? We got tested as well. It wasn't only in the good moments. So okay, we got tested. We went to extra time. We conceded the goal, but they came out fighting in the second half. I've seen us collapse in second halves, but they came out fighting with that same desire, with that same confidence within each other to pass the ball, because they've forgotten how to pass the ball. They've forgotten how to play football, but they've forgotten how to pass and pass forward. But they came out with the same energy, and I think that was really good to see. Now, are we going to get out of it? I really don't know, Chris. But for the first time in the league, especially this year, I saw us want to get out of it. And I think that's massive. And yes, they were all hurting at the end. And yes, it could be another heartbreak. But with this manager, I don't think it's going to be. For some reason, I've seen De Zerbi walk around in the tracksuit and in the top, and I've seen him in a couple of press conferences, and I listen to what he says, and he seems like a Tottenham manager. There's something about him that screams Tottenham to me. I love that he believes in himself. I love that he's aggressive. I love that his first instinct is to pass forward and to get into those creators. Look at what Xavi was doing today. He was pulling the strings today many a time. Could he have done more? Of course, but there was a lot of good things happening, and I think with De Zerbi and with this team, and just seeing that will to win today, just seeing that they wanted to be in the fight today was a massive boost for me. We deserved those 3 points today. We deserved them. We earned the 3 points today, and yes, it's a sucker blow, and yes, it's a kick in the gonads. But you know what? If they can stand up and be in the fight, then that's all that we can ask for right now. I was resigned to this Tottenham ship sinking. And it's just good to see them stand up and believe in something and play for something and go out there and want to win. So I saw that from the majority of them today. Everybody pretty much put in a shift. And that was great to see. And I'm just taking it off of the one game, Chris. I can't talk about the next one, and I can't talk about the one after that. And I don't care about any other side around us. I only care about Tottenham Hotspur. So I think with the manager that we've got, we take that, we use that as a galvanizer. We use that as a proof of concept that we can play football, that we can create, that we can score goals, that we can play forward. We can play with confidence. We can go out there and express ourselves. We can trust our defense. I know we conceded too, but like roughly, you know, that we can trust the processes in play and the plans in play to go out there and win. So if you take that and you can take that forward, then at least we'll be in the fight. And that's all I can ask for right now, because before today, I was just praying, Chris. So at least we're in it.
Yeah, well said, Ricky. Completely agree with everything you said there. When you said about you're not interested in other clubs, when you look at the Premier League table now, it does look like Leeds have got out of this mess, because that result the other night away at Old Trafford against Manchester United was absolutely huge. And they also won 3-0 this afternoon at home against Wolves. Now, Ricky, I'm going to ask you a very direct question here. Nottingham Forest, West Ham or Spurs, who's going down?
For me, I'd want it to be Forest, mate, to be fair. So I'm not going to say anything else. I would say I want it to be Forest. But if I'm real with you, Chris, we deserve it because of the form that we've been in and the way that we've played up until now. We deserve it, but I want Forest to be in it.
Gareth, let's get your opinion on today's performance and result. And are you feeling a little bit more confident from what you've seen today?
I think it's a very bittersweet emotion, isn't it? The lads spoke quite well there on the game. And I echo what they said. You can't really argue with the fight and the determination that the players showed, setbacks in the game. You think about a goal right before half-time, just after Xavi Simons hit the post and the keeper made the great save from Porro. 2-0 might have been a very different game. I thought those first 20 minutes, really, Brighton weren't really near us at all. It seemed to be them pretty much on the back foot. Of course, they were always going to have spells in the game, which they did more in the second half. But I think when you're seeing players at the end cramping up, Danzo, whilst they made a mistake, he nearly fell over. He was that tired at the end with Van Heck. So, you can't question the effort they put on. But it also, when was the last time we seen Spurs players get cramp? Where has that been for the last number of weeks and months? They put that much on day today because that's why players were cramping up. They aren't used to putting on them kind of energy levels and, that fight and belief that they could get themselves out of it. And look, you can say about there's obviously been issues with managers. And I think for the first time in a long time, probably since Ange has left, even though, towards the end, in the league especially, the fans had lost belief in Ange, albeit the Europa League was brilliant. But I think with De Zerbi, you're starting to see, a structure, a relationship with the fans. The players seem to be fully behind him. We never really had that with Thomas Frank. We certainly didn't have that with Shador. But I think for the players, it shouldn't need a manager to motivate you. We've been in this mess for a while now. Not they won a game since the 28th of December. It shouldn't require a manager to come on and get that level of performance, because whilst today was much better, there was nothing spectacular about the performance. It wasn't like it was a Pochettino Spurs where they were blowing teams away. We just seen a real determination and a real fight, which has been lacking in recent weeks. And I think we know there's issues in quality within the squad. There's been a lot of injuries, but I think the bare minimum the fans have wanted is fight and giving 100% on the pitch. And that's the first time really since the Man City game that I can think of back in August, where there's been a real gutsy, determined performance about Spurs. So I think that in itself is a major problem. And if we do go down, despite putting them levels of performances on over the next 5 games, you'll look back at those months between December and March and think how many points that we leave out there due to a lack of effort and a lack of determination, because we do know there's lack of quality. But, when you're fighting and you're scrapping, that can sometimes bridge a gap in quality. Brighton come in today as the most unformed team. If you just sat down to watch that match today and somebody had told you one team haven't won for 14 games and our team's won 5 of their last 6, you wouldn't have been able to determine who the team was. So, that's the most frustrating part, that we've left it now so late that we're relying on the next 5 games. And look, we could win 3 of those next 5 and still go down, depending on what our teams do. So as much as Ricky's saying, yes, it's about us, it is out of our hands. Now, we're relying on results this weekend, because you look at Nottingham Forest, if they beat Burnley, they go to 36 points. That's 5 points ahead of Spurs. That means effectively we need to win 2 games just to catch Forest. And that's a big ask. Providing Forest won an hour game, you're looking at maybe 3-1s. I think at the minute now we're looking at West Ham. I do believe Forest will beat Burnley at home tomorrow. So I think it's West Ham or Spurs. Palace away, we know, can be a very tricky game. But I don't think it's helped us that they've, had a big celebration after making the Europa Conference League semi-finals. But look, I'm a big fan of Premier League years, Chris. I always watched them when I was younger. And when it got to the business end of the season, you see some huge shocks. I remember West Ham winning at Old Trafford when Sir Alex Ferguson was there on the last day of the season. Tevez chipped the keeper and they won 1-0 to stay up. I remember Wigan coming from 2-0 down against Arsenal. They won 3-2 in the second last game of the season. Crazy results do happen, and I kind of feel it's, Wolves is a must-win next week, regardless. But I do think when it comes down to Villa and Chelsea, I think we're possibly going to need a big result there in one of those games, a big shock result. Maybe one in a Villa or one in a Stamford Bridge, just to upset the apple cart. Because we've seen already this season, West Ham got a draw against Man City a few weeks ago. Spurs got a draw at Anfield. It will never go the way you think it'll go. Everyone's talking about Brighton today, Leeds at home, and Wolves away as the 3 big games. But Spurs could potentially win one of those hour games they're not fancied. They won, and that could change everything. I think a lot of people are writing off Chelsea and Aston Villa, which, yes, on paper looks very difficult. But in these final run-ins, the end of the season, we've seen some teams in the bottom 3 go and beat a team much higher in the league. And I think it's possibly going to need that now, especially if West Ham and Forest won their games. I think we're going to need a bit of a fluke result or a shock result somewhere. But look, I still have it in my head that we need 38 or 39 points. So we need to win at least another 2 games, plus maybe a couple of draws, or 1-3 games. I think that's what we're looking at to get out of this. So there is points to play for, and you just need to hope that the last-minute goal today doesn't take too much out of the group. I think there is positives in terms of what we've seen. It's probably Xavi Simons' best Premier League performance. The only one I can remember, and that was the Brentford game, the last home one, where he played very well. His better performances have been in the Champions League. I thought Conor Gallagher had probably his best game in a Spurs shirt today. So look, De Zerbi's got them going. Can he maintain that over the next 5 games? And look, I know the snookers just started the championships, but I feel like at the minute we probably need a couple of snookers to fall our way as well.
Gareth, how disappointed will those players be, particularly being 2-1 up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because we've only won 2 games at home all Premier League campaign? Xavi Simons has just done an interview with Sky, and he said, new coach, new rules, different mentality. What changes have you noticed? I know we've only played 2 games under Roberto De Zerbi, but what are the major changes that you've seen so far?
Well, if I'm honest, I didn't see much in the last game against Sunderland. I thought that was a very poor performance, to be totally honest. Today it was like a different Spurs team. I thought we were a lot better on the ball. I thought we were a lot braver. I thought our energy all round. We never really give Brighton any chance to settle under the game. We always think about, you think about that last season at White Hart Lane when we won 17 out of 19 and drew the other 2. We kind of won games in the first 15 or 20 minutes. Obviously, it's a different team in terms of quality, but I kind of felt, Brighton came there, the informed team. They never really got near us. They about 25 minutes into the game. So we made it very difficult from the start of the game, and I think that's down to belief. So you have to give the manager credit. He's picked up a team that were really on its knees to get them to a level where they genuinely thought they could win the game today. So see, in terms of tactics, Chris, at this stage of the season now, I think they go out the window, to be totally honest. I think it's more about what we believe in our heads and our hearts is going to get us through this. We can talk about what way the team's set up. And yes, of course, tactics are a part of football. But I think at the minute, if we don't put 100% into every game, we've got no chance. We've got to put 100% into every game, be clinical. I mean, as good as he was today, Xavi Simons has got to score that goal. They put 2-0 up. I mean, he done the hard bit. He manufactured the angle for the shot, and he's got to put that away. So, in terms of changes, looking at it today, we've got much more of a better chance based on the evidence today. But it is only one game. If we go to Wolves next week and get beat, when we forget about doing any more podcasts about this season, when we start doing podcasts about what's going to happen next year, because if we don't beat Wolves next week, I think that's it. I really don't see any way back after that.
Craig, let's come to you. Do you remember, it wasn't long ago, Igor Tudor, the only point that he won as Spurs manager was away at Anfield, 1-1 draw. And on the podcast that day, we all thought that could be a turning point in the season. Now, these games are running out. We've got 5 games left. Is this going to be our turning point of that performance that we can take the momentum into next week's game? Because Gareth just said the key words there, which I think that all of us have been saying for the last couple of months. All of these games are must-win games. We've got to go to Wolves next week and win.
Yep. It is a must-win, and it really is. It really, really is. And yeah, it did feel like a turning point, that point at Liverpool. Obviously a place where we've not had much luck over the years. But the performance today was better than the Liverpool performance, I think. And that's the key thing for me. Though, it was...
Yeah.
There was a lot more balance to it. And just, it's a killer. That last-minute goal is an absolute killer, and it makes it feel like a loss, doesn't it? But, if... I think I said off air that if we'd been 2-0 down and we came back to 2-2 in the 95th minute and Xavi Simons scores that goal, we'd all be buzzing. It's just the manner of the draw at the end of the day. And how many people would have took a draw before today? I think a lot of people would have taken a draw, because a lot of people I saw online thought we were going to lose to Brighton today. So you have to take the positives, but it's only as good. It's only good to see that performance today if you carry it on for the rest of the season, and certainly against Wolves next week, because Wolves are dead and buried. They're down now, right? So they've had some really bad results lately. We just have to go and absolutely tear them apart and hope that tomorrow and on Monday, our nearest rivals in the relegation, they drop points as well. Because that's what it needs. It needs something like that to give us a boost, because if both of them win, it's going to feel a very, very hard slog.
Can I ask all three of you, the 5 remaining fixtures, how many points you realistically think that we are going to pick up? Craig, let's start with you. Wolves away, then we've got Aston Villa away, Leeds at home, Chelsea away, Everton at home. Out of a possible 15 points, realistically, how many do you think we're picking up?
7.
And is that going to be enough?
No.
Ricky?
15.
Gareth?
Eight.
Where are those 8 coming from?
I think we're going to beat Wolves. And I think we're going to beat Villa. And I think we're going to draw with Leeds and draw with Everton on the last day. And I think those 8 points will keep us up on goal difference against West Ham.
Christ. That would be nerve-shredding going down to that Everton game, wouldn't it? Jesus Christ.
I think one way or the other, Chris, it's going to come down to Chelsea and Everton. I can't see a situation where we're going and do those games relegated already. So it might even take, like I say, it's a crazy result. Our record at Stamford Bridge is horrendous. Chelsea are actually losing at the moment. They, other than pride and wanting to beat Spurs, they might be out of the Champions League race by the second last game, judging by the way the results are going at the moment. So we could be the team way more on the line that night, and it might take a freak. The one time we won at Chelsea might be the time they save our skin. So who knows? But I wouldn't write us off in any game, because I think a team that has to win is dangerous against a team that has nothing to play for towards the end of the season. The teams that are kind of mid-table-ish, that have nothing really to play for. Aston Villa could have a Europa League final. They play for it. Leeds could be stiff now, realistically. They might not much to play for. So I think in every game, you've got to go on believing you've got a chance, despite this really, really poor record. But I do believe we'll make a fight of it. I do believe we're going to win at least 2 of those games. And who knows, it might surprise us. But after tonight, I'm not writing us off.
I prefer Ricky's answer, although it is unrealistic.
Listen, this whole season's been unrealistic, bro. But you know me, man. I'm never gonna say that they're gonna lose.
Ricky,
can't. Even in the best of times, the worst of times, I'm never gonna say it. You know that, bro.
But we haven't won a Premier League game for 111 days.
So listen, at some point, you know what I mean? That horse has got to cross the line, right? At some point, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm fed up of being upset. I'm fed up of being in the dumps. Like I say, like, I'm just like, I'm upset with the reality of things. I'm upset with the what the real answer could be and should be, my friend. Football is a crazy game. It's for the dreamer. And you know what? Like I said, before this game, all I had was prayers. Now, at least I've got a little bit of a dream and a prayer, bro. So, like, I'm just going to roll with it until it's run out.
I think we'll go on to the last game against Everton with either a chance of going down or a chance of staying up. I do think it'll come down to the last game. I think it'll be one of those, we'll be in Survival Sunday, and you'll be looking at results from around the ground, and the stadium will be like an absolute, we're just Tottenham Hotspur. We don't do things easy. So there's no, I don't think there's any way we go on to the last game, Sif. I just don't see it.
That'd be awesome, because ain't the last game for West Ham Leeds? I think their last, so that'd be.
That's what would worry as well. If we need to go on to the last day, I think, with it in our hands. I think if we're relying on Leeds in the last day to get a result, Leeds are going to be stiff. So if West Ham are in front of us going on to the last day, I think our seats our fit's probably sealed. If you offered me now, Chris, we're ahead of West Ham on goal difference going on the last game of the season by 5 or 6 goals, for example. If somebody offered me now, you beat Everton on the last day and that guarantees you safety, I would bite your hand off for that now. Won your last game at home to stay up, I would take that now.
We have to see that fight, passion and desire in every single game now. And I know De Zerbi just said it in his post-match presser as well. Craig, I want to come to you on this point, and we're going to hear from Roberto De Zerbi in a second in his press conference, but he said Danso played another fantastic game. You mentioned Danso, so that's why I've come to you on this. Danso played another fantastic game, but the ball was with Danso. He lost the ball, and then we conceded the goal. But I prefer to make mistakes with the personality to play than to concede a goal without personality, without courage. Now, I know we've said this a million times, but we've got to say it again, that it is very, very important. These players stick together, the fans stick together, and we are united and as one, because the atmosphere, again, inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said before, yes, Danso was right. He should have gone Rosette, right? But Porro was out of position. He was too far up the pitch. Michael Dawson said it on Sky. He should be back goal side of the fella that crossed the ball 100%, which drew Paulini over. It was good analysis, actually. And that meant Paulini was out of position where he'd normally be to perhaps stop the shot. But there was a load of other stuff that went on during the game where we could have, and we'll come on to it, I'm sure. We could have been 2-0 up. There was errors. Of course, there's going to be errors. Everybody makes errors. We had our fair share of luck. Mickey van der Ven kicked it against the post and it hits him on the back. How that doesn't go in for an own goal, I don't know. So I actually said and thought at that time that perhaps our luck is changing. Perhaps our luck is changing, because any other day, any other game, that goes in off his arse and it's an own goal, whereas it didn't today. And there was a lot went on in that game that went for us. a lot went against us. I don't think the referee had the greatest performance. I'm not going to blame the officials, but I think there was a lot of fouls today that it seemed to be stop, start. And there was a yellow card that should have never been a yellow card. He gave a foul against Udogie in the first half, which was never a foul, and we were actually away. So a lot went for us, but a lot against us.
A lot of people in the away end last week were very against the referee, Rob Jones, last week. And today, Stuart Atwell received a lot of stick at half-time and at full-time. We'll come on to talk about that in a second. Ricky, before I come to you, I'll come to you first on the reaction to Roberto De Zerbi's press conference. This is about 8 minutes long, so we'll listen to Roberto De Zerbi now.
Hi, Roberto. Your first point as Tottenham manager, but did that feel like a defeat?
Yeah, yes, because we played a good game. Brighton is a very good team. In this moment, they are playing very well. But I think we deserve to win the game, especially if you consider we conceded goal in extra time when losing one ball in our possession. But anyway, I'm very proud for the performance of my players. I'm very proud because they gave all of them their best with the right mentality, with the right blood, with the right character. We played well with the ball. We played maybe better in the first half without the ball, because in the second half we suffered too much their ball possession. But in the first half we regained a lot of ball. When we score with Pedro Porro, we regained the ball very high, and I disappointed just for the result and for for my players and for the fans, because it was incredible atmosphere today in a very tough situation, very difficult moment, but the stadium was great, was amazing.
Before the match, you said you wanted Xavi Simons to assist more, you wanted him to score more. He did both of those things today. How impressed were you with him?
Yes, he played very well, very well, a great game. I think he can play better and better, because one player like this, he needs to feel confidence from the manager, and I stay here to transfer all confidence he needs, because I was a player, I was number 10, and I think I know what he thinks, because I thought the same when I was player. I think I'm lucky to have this player on my team, but also he is lucky because with number 10 we can understand better than other coaches.
Both the goals you conceded were in extra time in the first half and then at the end of the game. Does that just show the anxiety the players have and them getting nervous, trying to hold on to a lead?
But I don't know. I didn't think like this. The first goal of Mitoma was incredible. And the second goal, the ball possession was for us, because Danso played another fantastic game, but the ball was in Danso. He lost the ball, and then we conceded goal. But I prefer make mistake with the personality to play than to concede goal without personality, without courage. Now we need courage. Now we need to win the game, and to win the game we have to be positive and to play football with the ball, and not stay just to defend 11 players and go in counter-attack.
And because of the performance and the spirit your players showed, do you feel more confident now that they can stay up despite what happened at the end?
Yes, but I always thought, and believe in the qualities of the players. They played good game. They play a good game. I think we can play better than today, with much quality, more calm, especially when we are in ball possession. But in this moment, we need this spirit, this attitude, this mentality, and it's not finished yet. We have another 5 games. It's tough. Every one of us knows it's a tough moment, it's a difficult situation, but we have another 5 games, 50 points, and this team is able to win 5 games in a row. Now it's difficult not to hear my words, but if you watch the players, if you analyze the level of the players, I think we can win 5 games in a row. Not to be arrogant, because I'm not arrogant now, especially now, but we have the qualities enough to fight and to win games in a row.
Roberto, how do you lift the players after that? They look distraught at the end.
No.
On the pitch. And
they
also,
have to follow me. They have not to think. They have to follow me and to listen me.
Listen to me.
They have to listen to me. I'm proud for their performance. They have to be stronger and to be focused just on Wolverhampton game, and to come in training ground on Monday afternoon with a smile, because otherwise they go home immediately. I have no time to see the negative people, to see the sad players or sad assistant. No, we are lucky because we are working in a big club, a big stadium. We are working in Premier League. We have the qualities, the right qualities to win the game. So we have to be positive, because I don't like the people who cried, who thinks in negative way.
David, final one, please.
Ciao, Roberto. The way you guys played, is that the way you want to see Tottenham play from now on?
Yeah, absolutely. They have to play like this. They have to play showing what they are able to do on the pitch, enjoy with the ball, enjoy when they come on the training ground, to feel in confidence. I have to be good to transfer what I think, what I believe in my players, because it is true, is the truth. And to prepare the game by game. Stop, not too much. No.
Okay, thank you.
Ricky, let's come to you. I always love it when we've been recording for almost 45 minutes and we've said a lot of what Roberto De Zerbi has just said in the press conference there, including what you've just said. You said that we could get 15 points, and he's just said that we could win 5 in a row.
This is what I'm saying, bruv. This is what I'm saying. I've been on the blower, bruv. I've been on the phone, spoken to Roberto. I've said, bruv, come on, man. We can do this, man. We can do this. But do you know what I really like about what he said there? Was it, turn up to training on Monday with a smile on your face. And what I feel that he meant by that was, like, he ain't got time for feel sorry for yourself. He hasn't got time for, woe is me. We're going down. We're getting relegated. The referee, this. He's like, look, this is in your hands. We got to build on what we've just done, and we've got to be ready for the fight. And you have to be ready when you go into a fight, regardless of whether it's a featherweight up against a heavyweight. You've got to believe that you can win. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to have some crazy delusion sometimes to believe that you can win at times. And he wants all those players with a smile on their face and not feeling sorry for themselves, but up for the fight to improve and be stronger and to galvanize the things that they've just, you know, some of the patterns of play that they've just found success with, you know, to build on that and to make sure that we don't concede at the end and stuff, you know. So I'm encouraged by what he said there. I really like that. I like that he gave credit to Danzo and to Xavi as well. He asked for more from Xavi, and we got more from Xavi today. But I like what he said there. You know, the fact that he just shut down the feeling sorry for yourself thing. You know, he was just like, no. I like the way he shut down the journalist. He's just like, no. They haven't got time to feel. They've got to follow. Like, follow me, trust in me, follow me, and we'll get to where we're going. I really like the way that he speaks, man, and I like what I saw from today. And if they can build on it and believe in him and in each other, who knows, man? I know we're asking for miracles, but miracles do happen. Yet they're rare, but they do.
Gareth, let's come to you on Roberto De Zerbi's presser there. He's very big on mentality, and he's a very positive guy, especially from what we heard there. Is it too late, though? Has he got enough time to put positivity and change the mentality at the football club to keep us up?
I agree with a lot of what Craig said. I think at the moment, you know, I think if we come out of this week of 10 o'clock on Monday night, the table's the same as it is now, then I think we look at today as a great point. Despite how it finished, I think we'll look at, you know, a crucial point. It's a point closer to safety. But, you know, it don't matter how good De Zerbi is as a manager or how much he believes he can get this team out of it. The bottom line is, if Forest and West Ham won their games, it's a massive ask. You know, it'd be a massive ask for any team in this position. You know, you're talking about potentially 1 and 2 games just to get level. You know, and that is a big ask. Look, Chris, you always ask me about these manager interviews and player interviews, and I mean, I don't take too much notice of them because they have to say these things. You know, if he come out and says, well, hopefully we can win 2 of our last 5, you know, and that's enough. You know, people will go, what's he talking to? He has to say we're going to win these 5 games, or we're going to try and win these 5 games. You know, the only people that are better liars than footballers and football managers or politicians, to be honest. They'll tell you anything just to, you know, to make you believe what you want to hear. You know, realistically, we're not going to win our last 5 games, but he has to say that. So if we had have got De Zerbi in when we sacked Thomas Frank, I don't think we'd be in this situation. I really don't. But for whatever reason, you know, he didn't want it then, or the club didn't want him enough. We know he got a big pay packet to come here, but he does seem very committed. They did the job in hand, as you would expect him to be. So, look, it's a big ask. And I think if he does keep us up, I think we're talking about one of the greatest achievements of any manager at Tottenham, because, you know, there's not a lot of fans out there believe we can stay up. You know, a lot of rival fans, a lot of my mates are Liverpool fans, and they says, oh, that Brighton goal could be the end of it for you. So I don't see he's getting out of this. A lot of Spurs fans, if you look on social media, don't believe we're going to get out of it. So I think it's going to be a massive achievement if he does get us out of it. But today's definitely a step in the right direction. But I think our fit now lies in all our hands as much as it is in our own as well. I do think we need favours from others, and I like the mentality. I like the belief, and I like the reaction from the players today. But it's just words, Chris. We need points at this stage. It could be saying at the end of the season about mentality and belief, and we'll take it on the next year. But realistically, nobody's going to care if we're in the championship, you know, about what he says. So all we can do is take each game as it comes, and just hopefully results fall our way over the weekend now.
Craig, let's get your reaction to De Zerbi's post-match presser there, because I know you weren't Thomas Frank's #1 fan. That's probably an understatement from listening to him and his many press conferences this season, and of course Igor Tudor as well. After just a couple of games under Igor Tudor, he was telling us how bad things were at the football club, but after a couple of games under De Zerbi, he is remaining extremely positive, and then saying to the media there that we've just heard and listened to, that we could go on a run and win 5 out of 5.
Yeah, he does a much better feel about his press conferences, I'll say that, than Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor, certainly. Just remaining positive, and he's speaking. He's speaking like I want to hear a manager speak. To be honest, and he's certainly not giving up. He's not. I don't get the impression he's actually saying things just because it's what people think he should say or what the fans want to say. I genuinely think he believes it. And only time will tell, of course. And it's just so frustrating that today could have been that catalyst. And I think we did deserve to win today. I really do. And it's frustrating that it didn't start today, but there's nothing to say it can't start next week. 5 games. Look, it's going to be tough. Of course it is. And I'm not sure my heart can take it if Gareth's analogy comes true, but would I take it if it was in our hands, if we were on level points with West Ham, say, with a 5-goal difference in our favour going into the last game? Yes, I probably would take that and throw it all on the Everton game. Everton are probably going to be on the beach. Yeah, they can be a dangerous team if they've got nothing to play for and just playing with free abandon. But I think we've got to get to that last game of the season, because I truly believe, like Gareth, that it is going to go down to that last game. I think he's, regardless of how we've been at home this season, we've been okay away, but I'd much rather be at home than away last game of the season. The fans can affect things. I just hope it's not done by then. I really hope it's not done by then, or it's not in our hands last game of the season. But I do believe, in a really weird sort of way, again with Gareth, that these shock results, they do happen. We haven't won at Chelsea for a number of years. We've had, one victory since Gary Lineker scored back in the 90s in the league. Wouldn't it be the year to turn Chelsea over? And Chelsea are pretty poor at the moment. So I think anything can happen, but we need to get momentum. We need a couple of boosts before that Chelsea game, and we'll be right in it. Imagine if we beat Chelsea to stay up, for example. I mean, how good that would be. People saying that Chelsea could relegate us. How good would it be to stay up beating Chelsea? I mean, that would be phenomenal. I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm well aware of our position. I'm well aware of how many points we've got and where we are. But, I'm still going to believe in the back of my mind that we can get out of it until it's mathematically possible that we can't. And I've kind of changed my thoughts on that and being a bit more positive because of the things I've seen from De Zerbi and the team today.
The Chelsea game's going to be on the lights, isn't it? It's going to be like a Tuesday or Wednesday night as well. It's going to be one of those
Battle of the Bridge.
One of those Battle of the Bridge vibes.
Yeah, I've also heard as well that Chelsea are going to go all out, putting flags and banners out and everything for every fan. They want to be the ones that not only to beat us, but they want to be the ones to relegate us. So, as we've all said, we must show the right mentality. We must show the right grit, determination and passion in every single one of these remaining 5 games. But I tell you what, Roberto De Zerbi, I sat behind the dugout today. Very, very impressed with him. He always trying to motivate his players throughout the whole game. And he was constantly out of his technical area. He actually received a yellow card, which we'll talk about shortly. But when he received that yellow card, the 4th official still kept telling him off for going out of the outside of his technical area. But I love the way that he always told Bruno Salter to then go over to the 4th official to talk to him, rather than he wanted to deal with it. It did make me laugh a lot, but very, very passionate. He was on his knees at one point as well, which we'll talk about when Xavi Simons hit the post, but very, very passionate. I think we're going to see a very passionate Roberto De Zerbi as Tottenham Hotspur boss going forward. Craig, let's stay with you. Let's talk about today's starting 11. Kinski in goal, and then we've got Pedro Porro, Danso, Van de Ven, Udogie. And then Gallagher, Bentancur, of course, returned to the starting 11, having gone off injured in January away at Bournemouth. So great to see him back in the starting 11. Basuma was also back in. Mwani, Solanke and Javi Simons. I know we've spoke a lot about Javi Simons, particularly under 3 managers this season, of him not getting enough starts. Subs today: Austin, Bergvall, Dragusin, Gray, Polinia, James Maddison. An interesting choice of selection. James Maddison back. Of course, he has last featured for Spurs back in pre-season away in South Korea against Newcastle. Also on the bench today, Jed Spence, Matisse Tell and Richarlison. I suppose the obvious one, Craig, is talking about James Maddison and talking about Bentancur being back in the starting 11. But what did you make of the starting 11 and the subs today?
Happy with the back 5. That was fine. Really pleased to see Bentancur and Maddison back. I'll just talk about Bentancur for now. I thought he was great. I really did. I thought he calmed things down in the middle of the park. I thought Bentancur had a really good comeback game. It was a bit of a surprise to see Bissouma in there, but obviously De Zerbi sees him in training and he was obviously trying something a little bit different. So I don't think Bissouma played his best game, but I suppose you have to go with what the manager sees, like I say. Gallagher, we know he likes Gallagher, so I haven't got a massive problem with that, although Archie Grace probably feels his nose put out of joint a bit, but he didn't have the best game against Sunderland. Callum Moani, Solanke and Simons. Great to see Simons back in the team. Solanke is always going to be your centre forward. But Callum Moani, again, for me, flatters to deceive. Don't think he had the best game. I'd have preferred to see Matisse Tell start on the right. But coming on to the subs, what a boost to see James Maddison on the bench. I'm not even sure they was going to be thinking about playing him today. Perhaps he was just stuck on the bench for,
I agree.
To say he's back. I don't think he was ever going to get minutes today.
Yeah.
It was just to say, oh, look, Madders is back. Perhaps he will get a few minutes at Wolves, though. Who knows?
Do you know what? One thing that I absolutely loved as well, sitting behind the dugout, is especially in that second half, pushing us on to get another goal and win the game. James Maddison constantly standing up and shouting instructions to his teammates, as well as Bissouma when he came off, and also Bentancur did exactly the same thing. So all 3 of those players, really urging their team on to win and push forward to get that winning goal. Ricky, what did you make of the starting 11 today?
Yeah, a lot agreed with Craig there. Bissouma is a 50-50 type of player, isn't he? There's not been too many great performances from him, but I can understand why De Zerbi would like to bring him in there as a bit of a ball carrier. So to see him in there, it was a bit of a surprise. But Gallagher, I thought he had a terrible game last week. So for him to be back into the side this week, I was a bit like, oh, I'm not too sure about this one. This could go either way as well. And then with Xavi, I wanted him in the 10. I mean, look, when it was on the field, he was rotating left, right, and centre, and he was picking up those central positions. But when I saw it on paper, I was kind of like, oh, okay, he's on the left. He hasn't had his best games on the left as well, so that started to make me feel a bit nervous again about today. And in Colo as well, it's like. Again, it's like I don't. We don't get much from Cola. Sometimes there's a lot of huff and puff, but I would have, a bit like Craig, I would have liked to have seen Tell on that right wing instead. That was that on the 11, my friend.
Gareth, I quite often ask all of the regulars and guests about when a new manager comes in, who do you see that the manager has improved? And I think it's probably an easy one today. Javi Simons, Conor Gallagher, like Ricky and Craig have mentioned. Any others for you?
Well, they're the 2 obvious ones because we know they're capable of a lot better. We know Conor Gallagher. He was a massive player for Chelsea with Pochettino. I think he played every game in that Pochettino season at Chelsea. And Xavi Simons, we know the qualities there. Just a very frustrating one, very similar to Liverpool, isn't it? We Wirtz, we know they're 2 quality players, but just haven't seen the best of them in the Premier League. And I think Xavi Simons' best performances have come in the Champions League, which doesn't surprise you because it's probably more similar to the Bundesliga. but that was definitely his best Premier League performance today. It was on a par with the Brentford game, really, back in December, where he kind of bossed the game that day. He really should have scored that chance in the first half. But look, there's something about Xavi, and I spoke to my dad last night, actually. I was surprised that he didn't start last week, because you kind of feel that he's got a moment like that in him, like that goal he scored today. He did it against Atletico Madrid too. You don't see too many players else that are going to do something like that. So I think even if he's not playing well, he's still better being on the pitch than being sitting on the bench. So I think I'll be surprised if Xavi, barring injury, doesn't start the last 5 games, because I think if we're going to get out of it, he's going to be a big part of the reason that we do, because I think he's got that moment of magic in him. I suppose at the end, probably the only mistake he made, I think, if he leaves it for Bergville, he passes to Spence for a tap-in for 3-2 and we won the game. But look, by that stage, and credit him, he was out on his feet. He playing with one leg, and he was still trying to make things happen at times. So I think that he's got that mentality, and he can see he cares. When that goal went in at the end, he was almost in tears. So he is one of the players that it seems to really affect. So Gallagher, definitely best performance in a Spurs shirt. I think we've seen more of the Gallagher at Chelsea. That one where he pressed the goalkeeper and almost forced a goal was kind of the things we've seen at Chelsea. We haven't quite seen that at Spurs. So yes, I definitely think the system and the tactics that De Zerbi will deploy will definitely favour Conor Gallagher. Just on the team, Chris, I know the lads have spoke about it there, but I've kind of got to the stage with the starting 11 that I don't really analyse it anymore, because we've been so poor for so long. Different managers, different formations, different players in different positions. So even though it was quite surprising to see Basuma and Riani in the team, kind of felt that, well, who else is justified they really start the game? As much as Riani's been poor, has Tell done that much that he should be a starter? He's probably done a bit more than Riani, but he hasn't really had a brilliant run of games or magic moments where you think he should be in the team. So I do prefer him to Riani, but that doesn't say much. So in terms of team selection over the next few weeks, I think De Zerbi's just got to go with what he believes is the best team, from training sessions. And I do agree with you with Maddison. I think that was more to try and give people a lift, to give the fans a lift. But I think if we can find a way starting next week to get Maddison and Xavi Simons into the same team, I think you start to believe that we've got more quality there and we've got magic moments in us a wee bit more. If you get Maddison and Xavi Simons as like 2 number 10s behind Solanke, I think that gives you much more. You can play Bentancur, Bergville, Gray, or Bentancur, Palhinha, Gray. You can play. I would like to see a 4-3-2-1 personally. 3 in the middle, preferably energy. So Bentancur, I think, was excellent today. I think Bentancur has to play, because I think in that deep lying position, although Palhinha's done well at times, I think Bentancur's much better on the ball, and he calms everything down, and he always seems to have that extra second or two on the ball. And, he's a classy player. So I think if you play Bentancur and then you mix it up with maybe Gray, Gallagher, Bergville, Sarr, whoever's available, and then I think if you get 2 number 10s like Xavi and Maddison behind Solanke, and you push Porro and you doggy on, I think you've got much more of a threat, and you've still got that security with those 3 in midfield behind. So that will give everyone a huge lift going on the next week. If we've seen the team news at 2:45 that we're going with Maddison and Xavi Simons, I think fans will automatically believe we've got more quality. And I think Wolves too will look at that and go, we're playing Spurs, but they've got Maddison and Xavi Simons. How are they in this position? So I think it's about getting the best players onto the pitch and in the best positions possible. And Solanke today, I know he got a lot of criticism last week for his performance, but I thought he was much, much better today. And Van Hecke is a very good defender. I thought he knew today was in a game against Solanke.
Craig, let's come to you on Xavi Simons before we do the player ratings. Talk to me about Xavi Simons. What have you made of him in a Spurs shirt in his career? Because he's played under 3 different managers already this season, and it does seem that he hasn't been given the game time when a lot of us fans, particularly on this podcast, how many times we speak about starting 11, team selection, etc., that we have felt that he should have been in the starting 11. What a way to answer Roberto De Zerbi in his pre-match presser by, a journalist said, what does Xavi Simons need to do? And he said he needs to score more goals. He needs to assist. Well, he's done both of those things today. And I think it's very fair to say as well that, at the end of the game, I'm a people watcher, and especially after the game, you want to see the body language, the right attitudes from certain players. And I've, ever since Xavi Simons signed for us, whenever we've lost a game, whether it be under Thomas Frank, Igor Tudor, or, last week under Roberto De Zerbi, he always seems very passionate. He always seems very disappointed when we've lost games. He is a winner. He wants to be, in the starting 11. He wants to be that player, that creative player. He wants to score. He wants to assist. Is this a turning point for him?
I hope so. I mean, he certainly staked his claim for next week to be included. You can't drop Xavi Simons now. So, as you say there, he needs to assist, he needs to score. He scored an absolute worldie, and he provided a great assist for Porro's goal. Unfortunately for Xavi, he's not been consistent enough this season, and he'll be as disappointed with that as the fans are. But and he'll feel like he wasn't given enough opportunities. He's had some good games, but he's had some bad games. Certainly when he started at Spurs, he was very lightweight, wasn't he? He was getting pushed off the ball a lot, spent a lot of time on the floor. He still does, because he must be the most fouled person pro rata in the Premier League. His white kit looks green by the end of every game. He put in a shift today. Ultimately, he put in a shift, cramping up massively. I totally agree. I think Gareth said it. You want to see that every game. Why have we not seen that? I think one of the worst performances this season for me was Brentford away. That was the most boring game of football I've ever seen in my life. It was so slow. Thomas Frank seemed happy with it, but the fans said otherwise. And I guarantee no players come off that pitch that day with cramp, because it was bloody awful. Yet today, everybody to a man put in a shift. All of them, and you want to see that every week.
It's positive football, though, Craig, isn't it? And I don't think we're going to see any more of the Kevin Danso or the Lucas Bergvall throw-ins that never ever worked, and we never even scored from one.
Well, we still see a few today, didn't we? And we've still not scored from them. It is a bit frustrating. I don't mind a long throw. I really don't mind it. I just think you need something else other than a long throw, because, as you say, Chris, we've not scored from one yet. We haven't even looked like scoring from one. So
maybe I should do the set pieces, because my team scored 3 goals from long throws today. So maybe I should do them.
Honestly, I do like a lot. I've always liked a long throw. When played park football, that's all it was. A lot of our goals came from long throws, because we always had people that could absolutely launch the ball. And, I was tall. We had some other players in the team that were tall, and we scored a lot of headers from long throws. But you have to get the long throw right. Some of our long throws aren't long throws. They're just not. So, hardly Rory Delap. But let's concentrate on trying to score goals rather than just do the long throws, eh?
Right, as I said earlier, I'm on Fanalysis, so please do join me on there. We're going to do the player ratings now. We're going to rate each player out of 100, all the starting 11 and the subs that came on. We're also going to rate Roberto De Zerbi out of 100, as well as the referee, Stuart Atwell. Craig, what are your ratings for the starting 11 today?
Okay, I'll say Kinski 70, Porro 75, Danzo 65, Van der Ven 65, Udogi 60, Gallagher 65, Bentancur. I'm going to give Bentancur 80, Bissouma 55, Kalamawani 35, Solanke 50, Simmons 85, Bergvall, I'll give him 65. Archie Gray 65, Paulinia 55, Jed Spence 55, Matisse Tell 60.
You've given Colin Mawani 35.
Yeah, he was terrible again. What did he do? What did he do?
Yeah, I'm just pointing out you've given Kolo Muani 35 and Javi Simmons 85. Hell of a difference.
He gave away a couple of fouls.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
I've said before about players like Kolo Muani. They've got to give more. They have to give more. Ricky, your player ratings. You're on mute, Rick.
The amount of times that Kolo Muani tripped over his own feet as well. There was a couple of times where he was through and he just fumbled it. All right, player ratings. For me, I'm going to give Kinski a 75 today. I'm going to give him a 75 today. I'm going to give Porro. I'm going to give him an 80. I'm going to give Danzo a 65. I'm going to give Van der Ven a 65. I'm going to give your doggy a 55. Gallagher, I'm going to give a 68. Bentancur, I'm going to give a 72. Basuma, I'm going to give a 65. Kolo Muani. I'm going to give him a 39. I'm going to give him what his shirt number is. 39. I'll give him a 39. Solanke, I'm actually going to give a 70. I thought there was a lot of nice hold-up play today. I thought he was a lot busier. I thought the work rate was was higher today. I felt he put himself about the pitch today as well, made himself a nuisance. And a lot of the fouls that he, quote-unquote, conceded, Robbie from last week got man of the match for, but that's a different story. And Simmons, I'm going to give him an 88 today.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to go for.
My highest rating today is Simmons, and I've given him a 90. I thought he was brilliant. Ricky, Jed Spence.
Oh, yeah. Jed Spence. I'm going to give him a 55. Not too different to a doggy. Paulinia, I'll give a 60. Gray, I'll give a 60. Bergie, I will give a 65. Tell, I will give a 60. I'll give him a 60 as well.
Gareth, what are your player ratings today?
Kinski, I'll give a 60. Porro, 70. Danzo, 60. Van der Ven, 65. Udogi, 50. Gallagher, 65. Bentancur, 75. Basuma, 55. Kolomiani, 25.
Wow.
Solanke, 65. Xavi Simmons, 85. Bergvall, 70. Archie Gray, 60. João Palhinha, 60. Jed Spence, 60. Matisse Tell, 55.
I tell you what, you've had a bad game when your rating is lower than your squad number.
What did you give Muani, Chris?
Well, everyone will need to go over to the app to have a look. Craig, it weren't far away from you, to be honest.
Okay.
Lastly, player ratings for the manager Roberto De Zerbi and a rating for Stuart Atwell, the referee.
I'll give 75 for De Zerbi and 35 to the ref.
You're quite nice to these referees, Craig.
Well, I don't think he was dreadful like everybody's saying online, but I don't think he had his best game.
What did you give me, Annie?
Me? 30, wasn't it? I think. I can't remember what I said now. 30, 35. It's in the 30s.
Lower than his squad number again. Yeah.
You have to put the referee slightly higher than me, Annie. He wasn't that bad. He wasn't as bad as me, Annie.
Yeah, who is better, the referee or McCartney?
The referee. The referee. Sorry to say.
I actually think you have the same written. I think you give them both 35. You have to put the ref up to 40.
Oh, the ref will go 36. Yeah.
It's quite strange, this though, Craig, because every week you and Ricky seem to agree on a lot of things, apart from when we talk about refereeing performances. Ricky, what have you given Stuart Atwell?
I'm gonna give him like a 27, mate. Like, I don't know.
That's hard enough. What you would.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm being generous. It's because I literally expect nothing from them anymore, and it's got to the point. I know we were speaking about conspiracies and yada yada yada, but it's got to the point where I'm like, are they just this bad? Are they really just this bad? And they have their worst performance with Tottenham? I don't know. But you know what? Today, look, a lot of things didn't go our way with that ref, but it was more to do with what we had in our hands today. So the way that we dictated play, the way that we went for the goals, yada yada, the way that we conceded, had nothing to do with the ref either. So, you know, all right, I'll give him the 27, and then De Zerbi, yeah, I'm gonna give him a 78, just under an 80. I'm gonna give him a 78 because I just felt him. I believed him. I felt him. He was passionate. He got that team going. He got that team playing forward. Just a forward pass. We haven't seen a forward pass in so long that has reached its destination. You know that, innit? Like, every time we do a forward pass, it gets intercepted and we get broken on. So, you know, just for picking those boys up, getting them going, and even more so for that press conference at the end there. Like I said, the way that he just shut down the feel sorry for me. No, we just get back to work. I love that. So I'm going to give him a 78.
Yep. Gareth, final ratings for you?
Manager, I agree with Craig, 75. Referee, I think the boys have been a bit harsh. I know he wasn't great. But there was no major decisions he got wrong. It was all nitpicking, and so I think we'll give him a 50. He didn't get anything majorly wrong, as he was annoying at times.
Well, but it's funny how you give him a 50, because every single 50-50 ball, Brighton got the decision.
Yeah, I'm really sure referees' performances are graded on major decisions. So I think we can't give him too low over. I mean, he give Cowlin a 39 and give the referee 27.
But
he should be a referee.
Even then, I was being generous, bro. I was just going for his squad number, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't deserve a 39. I'm just being generous.
Yeah.
I think I'm always quite sensible when it comes to officials, but my ratings are, well, it is the lowest of the referee today amongst all four of us. So. Yeah, check out the Fanalysis app, as I said. Craig, let's come to you. Let's go through the match instance from today's game, the 2-2 draw at home against Brighton. After 5 minutes, Destiny Udogie with a good cross down the left-hand side, cleared by the Brighton defence. 8 minutes in, Javi Simons brought down. Van der Ven asking the referee for a yellow card. I must say, I'm going to bring this up again, because whenever Van der Ven wears that captain's armband, you do see a lot more of a physical version of Mickey Van der Ven and a more aggressive version of Mickey Van der Ven. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, he obviously likes being the captain and having that responsibility. You can see he's not just wearing it because Romero's not around. Do you know? He obviously is aware of the extra weight that comes with the captaincy. And you can see that he's trying to be a leader and being a captain on the pitch. It's not, you know, some captains are just like Harry Kane, for example, perhaps not one that shouts all the time, like, oh, Heung-min Son, just leaders by example, Mickey Van der Ven, a bit of both. I thought he had a reasonable game today, really good game, in fact, Mickey Van der Ven. Really showed a lot of fight today. Really pleased with his performance, and in some ways, sometimes I see Mickey Van der Ven playing his better games without Romero next to him. Actually, I think he plays well with Danzo. To be fair, I really do.
Yeah, I agree. After 20 minutes, it was a key moment for Brighton because Gomez went off injured, and Matoma then came on, and we'll talk about his goal shortly. A minute later, Javi Simons shot from around 20 yards. It was deflected just wide. The goalkeeper was scrambling towards his post. Ricky, what do you make of Javi Simons? I know we've spoken about him a little bit so far in the podcast, but Xavi Simons, we've seen some really good moments from Xavi Simons this season, particularly in the Champions League. But, when it comes to the Premier League, of course, it is a very different competition, a lot more physical as well. A lot of people would agree with that. De Zerbi said to him that he wants more assists, more goals. What did you make of his performance today?
I thought he was up for the mission today, mate. I thought he was well up for it. I felt that he felt the belief, and I felt that he has been given the belief to go out there and be the game changer, because he was on it. He was popping the ball about. He was overlapping. He was getting involved. He was looking to express himself and try and dictate play and try and make things happen. And, if you look at the creative things that we done today, a lot of them went through him. He was always asking for the ball. He didn't shy away from it. He didn't hide from it. And the fact that De Zerbi speaks about playing, him as a player, playing in the 10 position and knowing what a 10 needs. Yeah. I think he's really got into Xavi and kind of gone, all right, cool. Like, I'll give you everything that you need, but you show me. And he said that in the press conference. And you know what? Big respect to Xavi, because he done it. He stepped up and he done it today. And, you look at Xavi, he's come from a different league. Yes, he's been around the world, right? He's been around the world at his young age. He's played in a lot of different leagues, a lot of different countries. He's played for his country. He's played for his national team as well. And he's come into the Premier League, which is the hardest league in the world. It is the most physical. It is the most intense. It is the most tactical. There's always a different tactic for every different team in this league, And it's taken him a while to adapt. And we've had players that have taken a while to adapt. Sonny being one of them. I always come back to Sonny because at the end of his first season, he was looking to go. And it was Poch that said to him, no, trust me. You stay here. Like, next year, you're going to fly. And he did. But so the same for Xavi. He's come into that. And you saw in that first Chelsea game, Xavi was the biggest, weakest link in that side in that game. I think he got subbed on and subbed off, and he needed to as well. He was nowhere in that game, but you look how far he's come and how far he's gone. And finally to have an attacking minded coach and an attacking way of playing, and a philosophy that is evolved around actually playing the beautiful game rather than playing for a throw on, a free kick, a corner, a set piece. I think he's thriving under that. I just wish he would have played last week. He would have started the game last week, because I felt that we really needed a creative spark last week, and having the 5/11 minutes extra time, I don't think that was long enough for him. But you know what? He's taking it on the chin, and he's been put in today. Again, like I say, on paper on the left-hand side, but with the license to roam and to overlap and to and to not be wedded to that position, to go out there and express himself. And he's done that today. Now we need to, like I say, it's a proof of concept today. It's a proof of concept today. There's no reason, and this is what I like about the manager as well, is that there's no reason for you to hang your head. Yes, it is a gut puncher, but don't hang your head, because it's a proof of concept that if you play this way, that you can create, you can look like the players that you really are, because this what we've seen for the majority of the season, the doppelgangers, apart from in the Champions League, we've seen doppelgangers. And one thing that Frank never done as well is that every time that we did have a good performance or a good performer, we never built on it. We never started him again. We never let them get 2-3 games under their belt. We never let them get 2-3 goals under their belt. It'd take them out, and then we'd have an injury, and they'd be put back in, and it's been the same with Xavi. And now that he's had that type of game today, I hope that he's one of the first names on the team sheet going forward in the last couple of games that we've got, because you can see the quality in him. You can see that he's got magic in his boots. And I've said this before as well. He's grown up always being the smallest, the weakest, the one that's been pushed off the ball. He's grown up everywhere he's been. He's always been that guy. And as soon as he works out how to play in the Premier League, as soon as he works out the defenders, as soon as he works out the strength that is needed, the way to kind of ride a challenge, he's going to fly. And you can see that little bit by little bit with a coach like De Zerbi, but behind him, fueling him, believing in him, that he can be the hero that he wants to be. But you've got to play it, man. And we've got to build on this and we've got to take this forward.
Gareth, let's come to you. A minute later, Cowlin Moani shot over from around 18 yards. Now, what have you made of Cowlin Moani in a Spurs shirt, and how does Roberto De Zerbi get the best out of him? Or does he? Ricky's laughing. Craig's shaking his head. And I actually don't know what to say about Cowlin Moani anymore, because when you look at him starting these kind of games, should another player perhaps be starting instead?
100%. I think if he was a horse, he'd be put down. So he literally at the minute is just a complete and utter disgrace of a footballer. He doesn't put in the effort. He constantly gives away cheap free kicks when the ball comes into the box. It's frustrating when you see him on the starting lineup, and he just offers absolutely nothing. He's weak. He doesn't really run, and when he does get the ball, he just, as Ricky pointed out, he just trips over his laces. Or I think it's hard to believe that this player that was once bought for 100 million euros, because he just looks like he doesn't look like a footballer to me. So no, I don't really have anything positive to say about his reign, Chris, or at Spurs. And I think if you look at a lot of these past clubs, they were quite happy to get rid of him. So I don't see any good that'll come out of playing him. I could be wrong. Maybe he scores a goal, it saves us at the end of the season, and I'll apologise to him. But you just never fancy him, do you? When he gets the ball, you just don't think he'll do anything. Like him. He doesn't look like he actually cares that much as well, which is annoying. Maybe it's because he's on a loan move, but his confidence, he's never looked confident really in a Spurs shirt. He doesn't look confident in a PSG shirt. I think you always think back to that chance he had for France in the World Cup final. Like, he made an absolute hash of it when he really should have scored.
Yeah,
so
very true.
No, I wouldn't like to see him in a Spurs shirt anymore. I mean, I know Craig's been quite critical of Richarlison, but I think Richarlison gives you a lot more than Cowlin does. So I'm struggling to see why he's on the team, because he's playing in the position as well, which is even stranger. You know, he's a striker, isn't he? He's playing right side of a three.
Gareth,
he's comfortable there.
Gareth, this is a really good point. Werner was better than Moani. Who would you have, Werner or Moani?
They're both pretty bad.
I would probably have Werner, because even though Werner was very, very poor in front of goal, he did create chances for our players at times, and he, you know what I mean. So, look, it's the best of a bad bunch. It's like asking, I don't know. It's like asking who would you rather won the league, Arsenal or Chelsea? I don't know. Obviously, probably we were a rivalry with Arsenal, probably bigger rivalry, but we wouldn't take any joy in see Chelsea winning it either. So, I would marginally put Werner, just based on, I think he created more, even though his finishing was poor. When Moani gets the ball, I can't.
So is Moani. Yeah.
When Moani gets the ball, I can't just look away or be like, "Oh, we may as well start running back now, because he's going to give it away, or he's going to fall over, or he's going to run it out of play." And then some of his shots is just pathetic. And then, while frustrating, when he plays as well, do you know when we have a free kick or a corner in a dangerous area, the ball will come into the box, and before it even reaches the back post, the referee's blown for a free kick because Moani pulls somebody down or throws him out of the way, and not even being subtle about it, just so obvious. I remember one week he just grabbed somebody and threw them out of the way, and then he kind of looked at the referees to say, "What'd you do that for?" He's a man down, Chris. You're playing with 10 players when you have Moani on the pitch. I really don't see any positives. I can't think of one thing, and maybe the lads can. I can't think of one thing he does well. I don't know. I can't think of one attribute to his game that he's good at. You know the way he's certain players, he'd be like, even I'll give you an example. Sissoko, he wasn't a brilliant footballer, but he was brilliant at running with the ball or running after people. He was good at tackling. He didn't have the technical ability, but a lot of the fans liked him because he was very good off the ball. Muani's not good on the ball, not good off the ball. His shooting's not good. He's no weak foot. He can't beat a man. His first touch is poor, and he just gives it soft. So no, I don't mean to completely go for it. I don't mean to completely. I probably shouldn't have said about the put down, but no, I just the plug. I battered him. It's just frustrating. I just don't think.
I think sometimes Craig is really harsh on players, but you've taken it to a new level.
Well, apologies for that, to be honest.
But you know what? Tell me something that he said was wrong.
Do you know what? I swear to God, I saw a couple of times today, players looked up, saw Muani was running and decided not to pass to him because they don't. And you must get that in teams where you think, what's the point in passing to him? He's not going to do anything with it. It's sad state of affairs, really.
Craig, if you were choosing the worst starting 11 as a collective since the Premier League started from 92 to now, would Muani and Werner be in your starting 11 as the worst?
Muani, 100%. I'd have to think it was worse at left wing than Werner. I mean, he was. I must admit, I did have a soft spot for Timo Werner. I always thought he was going to come on.
Was better than Gilberto. Gilberto was awful. He was really bad.
I'm going to have to message Richard Whitehead and just say, look, forget this podcast. Don't watch it, mate.
But it's all about it.
Chris Keith actually says Gareth was spot on.
Yeah,
so maybe they agree. But our front three would be Gilberto on the left, Cowlin, Muani through the middle.
Raziak, Gregor's Raziak was dreadful. Honestly. There's been so many bad players for Spurs. Perhaps we'll do a podcast, the worst Spurs 11 one day, when we're all feeling a bit more lighthearted. But
that would be 3 hours, bro. That would be 3 hours long. The worst 11. Oh my goodness, wowza! Andy Booth. What about Andy Booth, man? Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe that. Oh goodness. Oh goodness!
I ran around Huddersfield Football Club with Andy Booth. I've got a little soft spot for Andy Booth now. He's a nice guy.
So it's okay if you've got a soft spot for him. You can be a bad player as long as you've got a soft spot.
I'll just ask the questions. I won't answer them.
Chris, do you have a soft spot for Colomiani?
Absolutely not. But I wouldn't say what you said.
But has Timo scored more than Colo? Because do you know what's funny? I was actually thinking of this as you were speaking, and then you put the comment up, and I was cracking up. But did Timo score more than Colo? I mean, including Europe. Does anybody know?
He scored 2, didn't he? I'm sure he scored 2.
I don't remember Timu.
He scored 3. He scored against Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and Man City in the League Cup.
The Man City, yeah. I remember the Man City. Yeah.
Yeah, Colomiani couldn't do that.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Let's move on. Craig, let's come to you. After 26 minutes, Kinski dealt with a corner very well, as he did exactly the same last week at the Stadium of Light against Sunderland. A minute later, ball over the top. Brighton attackers run onto it. Kinski out well. What did you make of Kinski? And when Vicario is back, he's meant to be back Monday, Tuesday. Does Vicario go straight back in between the sticks away at Molineux or Wolves on Saturday for you?
I think he does. Whether he should is debatable. I think Kinski has bounced back well after his troubles. He did very well today with a back pass. He realised it was a back pass. I can't remember who knocked it back to him, but he quickly adjusted his feet and got rid of it. I mean, that could have been a really dodgy moment. But on the whole, I think he's done well. I don't think you could blame him for either goal today. I thought last week he played well. Rarely put a foot wrong last week, to be honest with you, and didn't really today either. I don't remember him making any massive mistakes. So just goes to show that he's got a bit about him, a bit of character, and I think he's. Well, are they going to go with him for our first choice keeper next year? Looks like Vicario's going. I don't know. I suppose going back to the. I haven't got a soft spot for Kinski at all, but I think he's a capable number 2. Whether Vicario comes back in, he probably will. He probably will because he's the number 1, isn't he? Paolo Tramezzani, he was dreadful as well. I just remembered.
Yeah, I met him as well. He's a nice guy.
Oh yeah, all the people you meet. Yeah. You run around the stadium with him, have you?
Not yet.
Early days.
Somebody says in the comments about Miani and somebody run their ball the statue.
Ricky, let's come to you. Basuma was given a yellow card. He committed a foul. Van de Ven mouthing off again after 30 minutes.
Why you said that? Why you said that? That was brilliant. Van de Ven mouthing off again.
Well, he was. He was very passionate today, Van de Ven. I noticed.
He was.
Basuma. Talk to me about Basuma, Ricky, because Spurs actually do have a option to extend his contract for another year in the summer. But it has been highly and widely reported that Basuma will leave the football club this summer. But we've heard this before. Would you like to see Basuma stay?
No. The thing is with Basuma, Basuma when he came, he was one of the most. He was one of the signings that I was excited by the most when he did come into the side, and we've seen flashes from Basuma. We've seen some good games, but we've seen a lot of bad, and we've seen him lose the ball. We've seen him constantly pass backwards and break down attacks over the seasons. I think he's probably a player that should have gone probably 2 seasons ago. The disciplinary stuff, the fact that he turns up late. I remember that time that Ange spoke about Basuma and had a great talk with him one day and bigged him up as one of the leaders in midfield and how he could do great things in the midfield. And Basuma was all for it. And the next day he turned up late to training. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things where I think that Basuma kind of has let me down as a bit of, as a fan, as a supporter. And I think he's let the team down a lot of the times. Now today, I think he played pretty well. There was one point where he should have passed forward and he done the Basuma thing. There was a sweeping move. I can't remember when it was, but there was a sweeping move and it hit him. And all he had to do was chip it over to the left-hand side or find somebody on the right, just pass it forward, continue passing it forward. And he did pass it backwards, which made me grind my teeth a little bit. But overall, I think he done pretty good today. I think if he can give good performances for us up till the end of the season, I would take it. I think it does good for him, and I think it does good for us. I think that for all of the disciplinaries and things and bad poor games over the last couple of seasons, that he could, he kind of owes us a couple of good games and to help us get out of this situation, but also puts him in a good light for a potential suitor in the summer. I think we need to start moving forward. I really hoped that Basuma could be a proper game changer in our midfield, and we just don't see it often enough. I hope that it continues for the rest of the season. If De Zerbi believes in him, fine. If De Zerbi wants to keep him, fine. I'll be with it. I'll be with what the manager wants. But for me, I think it's probably time up if I had the option.
Ricky, going back to your question about Timo Werner and Kolo Muani, in 41 appearances for Tottenham in all competitions, Timo Werner scored 3 goals for Spurs, 2 in the Premier League. Kolo Muani, 24 appearances in the Premier League, 1 Premier League goal. So Timo actually scored 1 more than Kolo Muani in the Premier League, but Kolo Muani has scored 5 in all competitions for Tottenham this season.
Werner probably had more assists as well.
Yeah, you asked for
Wow.
goals.
But look how low it is. You know, like Gaz was saying there earlier about the Kolo. At Frankfurt, I think it was, he was on fire, and that's what got the big move for him. And you know, it was a big money move, and he's almost fell off of a cliff since then. He done well at Juventus. Maybe that's why he wanted to go back this summer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he, still wants to go back, because maybe he found something that clicked with him over there. But it hasn't clicked with us, and we've waited for it to click all season. At times, the thing is that he could have been, if it would have clicked, and if he would have put his best foot forward, and it would have worked for him, he could have been the best striker at the club, because he's got a bit of hold up play. He's at his best. He's got a bit of hold up play. He's got a bit of a running behind. He's got a header. He's got a shot with both feet. Like, he could have been one of the best ones there. But unfortunately, this is where we're going. We're going to the low end stats of some of the worst players that have been at Tottenham, and they've been at Tottenham too long. It's really poor on Kolo's. I hope, like Gaz said earlier, that if he continues to play, or if he comes off the bench, that he can give us a couple of goals towards the end of the season. But I want a Tottenham player in there, if I'm honest. In this battle, I need somebody that has got that contract and is wearing that shirt, and that loves this club, not only today but for tomorrow too. So that somebody on loan that's probably checked out, maybe, even if that's a maybe, I don't really want that on the field at this particular point. We ain't got time for chances. We ain't got time for maybes right now. I only want people that are certified Tottenham till I die. You know what I mean? All day, every day, Tottenham. On that field, because I think that's the thing that's going to get us over the line. It's that type of brotherhood. It's that type of fight. That's that type of togetherness. If what Craig says is right, I didn't see it myself, but if what Craig says is right, that certain players were seeing the Kolo run and checking and going the other way because they don't really trust him, then what are we doing here? And I'm sure that the manager will see it. Let's hope so for the next game that Kolo's on the bench and we've got somebody certified, ready to fight and ready to go against Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. Gareth, let's come to you on that point about Basuma giving away the foul and receiving a yellow card. From that free kick, Welbeck headed towards goal, straight at Kinski, but he had time. He had space. What have you made of us defensively under De Zerbi in these 2 games that we've played under him?
I think it's very early to judge De Zerbi's reign defensively. He's only had 2 games. But I think that kind of opportunity that Brighton had has been a common theme this season. Players falling asleep, not tracking runners, switching off, pointing the finger at our players. I don't sense, maybe a wee bit more today, but I know De Zerbi says he took them out for a meal, and I think Tudor tried it. You don't sense a lot of unity in the Spurs group. As soon as a goal goes in, everyone's pointing the finger at somebody else. So I think from set pieces, we and defensively, we've lacked leadership. And look, I know a lot of fans probably like him, but when I was talking to my dad last night, I actually says I think Romero being out for the rest of the season benefits us. I think we've got a better chance of staying up with Romero, and he's our captain. It shows you how much he's fallen in the favour of probably lots of Spurs fans. There are probably some Spurs fans that would prefer him over Danzo. But based on Romero this season, I think he's been a total liability. And if he's your captain, I think you're in big trouble. So when your captain's not displaying leadership, I think it's very difficult for our player. I think it might have been Craig. Van de Ven seems to play better when Romero's not next to him. Where it used to be the 2 MDGR were your first choice. People compared them to as possibly the best partnership in the Premier League. But this season, they one of the worst. So I think this club, where we're in the Championship, or as we hope, we stay in the Premier League, we need to go and get players on that have leadership qualities. I think Bentancur is one of them. It was good to see him back today. I think Palhinha at times has shown that he can be a player like that, and I would definitely sign him permanently. Because I think he is a very good squad player. I know we've always talked about as fans as we want to sign the best players, but you still need squad players as well. And I think for the money that Palhinha will be available for, it'd be a no-brainer. I think it's around 20 million euros. So we need to fill the squad with those kind of players, because there's too many players in the squad who don't have that leadership. And De Zerbi's got a big decision to make in the summer regarding the captaincy, because it looks, I think, whether we're in the Premier League or the Championship, Romero and Van de Ven will both be off. So getting that balance in the squad and getting that real leader, because we haven't had that. I know Son tried, but he's not that type of player. Harry Kane's, not just his goals, but his leadership's been a huge miss. He was the face of Tottenham. We haven't, not just his quality, we haven't replaced his leadership at all. So, captains are a massive part of a team, and the manager's got to get that right character under the building that he can trust on the pitch. Because I think, we all know Roy Keane's a very outspoken person, but he says a lot of the players for Alex Ferguson did the talking in the changing room. Ferguson didn't have to say much. And I know that's a different era, but you look around that dressing room in the Forest game when they were 1-0 down. Who were the real leaders in that change room at half-time to say, look, we've had a setback at half-time. We've played quite well in the first half. Let's go out in the second half and turn the game. We just completely collapsed as a team. So I think that can win you points and win you games. And we've had a lack of that this season. And that's something that needs to be addressed going forward. Doesn't necessarily need to be, they don't need to be the best player in the team. They just need to be the best in leadership and someone that everyone respects and looks up to. I think when you have Romero as captain, I think that was a massive error, to be totally honest, by the manager, Thomas Frank, in the summer, because I don't think you can have a captain that's a liability. And Romero has proven time and time again. Yes, he's had great games and great spells, but he's proven time and time again he can't be trusted and that he's a liability.
Gareth, you mentioned about signings there. Craig, I'll come to you on Pedro Porro's goal in a second. But Gareth, when you mentioned about signings and about players coming in the summer, now there's been lots of reports stating that Marcos Senesi of Bournemouth, Cole Darlow of Leeds, and also Andy Robertson of Liverpool. These are three players that we have been heavily linked with across multiple outlets, very reliable journalists as well, stating that Spurs are in for these three players. We heard from Thomas Frank a couple of months ago, stating that Spurs were going to go big in the summer. We were going to go big. We were going to show real ambition. This board, these owners are going to show real ambition. And then we're hearing about free transfers. What do you hope? If Spurs are a Premier League team for next season, what are your hopes and what are your realistic dreams of the summer transfer window for us?
Chris, look, maybe I'll get a bit of criticism for this, but I'm not necessarily a fan that's obsessed with big signings and big figures. And you look at Liverpool, they spent 450 million in the summer and they've got worse, and they might not even be in the Champions League next year. It's not about going out and spending and getting £100 million players on the door. It's got to be the right players.
Okay, let me put it another way, because I never ever say that we need to go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of millions, because we could sit here all day talking about the likes of Lo Celso and Ndombele, £100 million wasted on those two players. It's sometimes not all about money, but are these types of players the ones that are going to take Spurs to the next level? That's I suppose that should be my question. Are these players going to take Spurs to the next level?
Well, definitely not. They're not going to have a massive effect on the pitch. I think Andy Robertson would be a great signing just for his leadership qualities. If it's not Van Dijk, he goes in front of the TV cameras after Liverpool lose a game, and he speaks very well. So I think Robertson, as a kind of figure around the club, would be on a free transfer. I think he would be a decent signing. his best days are definitely behind him, but I do think that they could learn a lot off Andy Robertson. You know, is he a better player than Ben Davies? Definitely. So if you're replacing Robertson with Ben Davies, I think that's an upgrade. You know, you're not expecting the Andy Robertson in Liverpool, but you know, there's nothing wrong with signing Andy Robertson. If you go and sign players in our areas, they're going to take you to the next level. But the problem that we have, Chris, and you know, it's an interesting one when everyone was talking about the likes of Semenyo. Spurs aren't at that table, Chris, and that is, we've got to understand that as fans. You know, we can go and offer Semenyo more money than any other team, but if he's got a Man City or an Arsenal or Liverpool, the only reason he would sign for Spurs is money. You know, so you know we're not at that table where we can go and match up with the best teams around and give and say, look, come to us. We've got a better project. I mean, if we're in the Premier League next year, it'll be with the skin of our teeth. So you know we're going to have to look at maybe finding gems and hopefully turning them into superstars. You know, a bit like what Bournemouth have done, a bit like what Brighton have done, a bit like what Brentford have done. And look, as Tottenham Hotspur, we probably feel that we shouldn't be doing that, but it has worked in the past. You know, Gareth Bale, Dele Alli, Heung-min Son, Harry Kane came through the academy, Aaron Lennon. You know, we've signed some brilliant players from clubs, and they've done to do great things for us. So, look, I'm not saying we have to do that as well, but you know, as long as we get players in that can make an instant impact, then I'm not too despondent in how we get there. So we've tried everything, Chris. We've tried everything with managers. It's ultimately just about finding the right balance and getting players in that can instantly improve us. And Chris, I think where we are at the minute, I think it's going to be I think it's never been easier to bring players in that are going to improve us, because if we do stay in the Premier League, you know, the only way we can get worse is if we go down. So I think we're at such a level now that bringing players in to get us back into European football, you know, it shouldn't be as hard as finding players that we're fighting for top four and we want to try and challenge for the league. You know, that's a bigger gap they bridge. I think, you know, you've seen it before. There's no reason why we can't have a good summer window if we're in the Premier League and finish in the top six next year. We've seen Man United, they finished 15th last year in the Premier League and they're sitting third now. So they went out and signed Mbeumo and Cunha, who were massive signings, Premier League proven. United in the past went for players from Germany, Holland, France for big money. It didn't work. My preference would be Premier League experience.
Craig, I don't want to go off topic, but I've got to ask you about this, because when you think that we finished 17th last season under Ange Postecoglou, yes, we won the Europa League, but you know, when we've got 5 games to go of this season and we're sitting in the bottom 3, if somehow Spurs do get out of this mess and we are a Premier League team for next season, in the summer, major changes need to be made, don't they? Because, you know, if this isn't the huge wake-up call to the owners, the board members, the club as a whole, I don't know what is, because we can't be going through a season like this again next year.
No, and you know, some would say you get what you deserve. I mean, if we go down, you know, people, well, you know, ENIC, you know, mismanagement and not backing manager after manager after manager and trying to cheap out on everything for years has come back to bite you on the backside. If we do get out of it, like you say, it has to be different. It can't be. They're surely not going to risk us being in this position again if by some miracle we get out of this, you know, because it's going to hit them where it hurts, in their pockets. And we all know the club is for sale. No matter what they say, we all know the club's for sale. They're not going to be able to sell it if we get relegated, let me tell you. And if they do, they're going to get a lot less back for their asset if we are in the Championship. So if we do, by some miracle, stay in the Premier League, things are going to have to be different. But I don't trust the people at the top to do what needs to be done. I think they'll probably just do enough, to be honest with you. I don't think Langer inspires me with any confidence at all. Vinay Venkatesham doesn't inspire me with any confidence as a leader of the club. He was supposed to be speaking to the fans a lot more than certainly Daniel Levy did. And how many times have we heard from him? Where's he been? Yeah, he was there today, but we haven't heard a video from him. Yeah, of course he's going to get abused online and all the comments underneath. That's, you know, but you're CEO of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. You should be speaking to the fans. And you should be bloody apologising if we're relegated as well. That's going to be an interesting social media post, that one, if we're relegated.
Yeah. That is definitely a subject that we could do a podcast on alone, and that could last for many hours. So, watch this space. I'm sure we'll record that at some point. Craig, let's stay with you. Let's talk about a positive moment in the game. Pedro Porro's goal. Xavi Simons, what a great ball in. Goalkeeper came running out. Pedro Porro was extremely brave. 1-0 Spurs. What did you make of it?
I thought it was a really well-worked goal by Tottenham. I can't remember who won the ball back, actually, but good pass into Simons. You look at the sheer number of Brighton players in the box there. Porro standing on the edge of the 18-yard box, and as you roll it on, good touch from Simons. Looks up and just plays a most delightful ball. Great run by Porro. It would have been the easier, safer ball to go to Muani at the back post, but putting it into that area. And as you say, Porro, very brave actually to get his head on that. He's not the tallest player either. Really good leap. Total error by the keeper, actually. Totally misjudged it. But Porro, great finish, really good finish, and a really good assist from Xavi, and we were on our way. Sadly, it wasn't to be the winning goal or a goal that helped us win the game. But yeah, really good from Porro.
Ricky, would you like to add anything on the goal?
Just great anticipation as well. Porro's anticipated the ball coming. Xavi anticipated Porro anticipating, and he put it in the right spot at the right time. And a fantastic goal, man. And we needed to score the first one. If you see, there's a point where Porro, he roars at the crowd. He looks like the Incredible Hulk, And I'm talking about, for those that know, I'm talking about old school Hulk, right? Like the TV show, old school, where like when he used to rip the clothes. He done one of those, all right? And I was like, you can tell he's a very passionate guy. I've always felt that he's cared about this scenario. When he was out, I remember him being on the bench watching some of the games which we were losing, and he was losing it on the bench, and he was trying to, dictate from the bench as well in previous games. So for him to get the first goal in the way that he done it, and that celebration, fantastic. It set us up, and it got up the momentum in we started to move. It finally paid off, and then we started to create our own momentum. And yeah, like I'm sure you're going to go on to, we should have put it away a couple of minutes later to make it 2. But
here we go, Ricky. This was the moment here. Xavi Simons hit the post. Honestly, it's sometimes you think, is your luck with you? Is it not? It came out and then it was blasted over.
Well, do you know what got me? I mean, look, he's made the space. He's done everything right, and he's curled it like a golf shot. And I don't play golf, but he's curled it like a golf shot on that green. And it's it was almost like as he shot, I could see it in slow motion, and it was going in. It was going in until it wasn't, and then it hit that post. And for me, I really expected a better anticipation and reaction from Colo at that point. But it didn't. I can't remember what he done, but he fumbled it. He flicked it up, and then it went out to Porro, didn't it? And then Porro had a shot, and Verbruggen just tipped it over. So it was that. But that was the moment again. Like we had the energy behind us. The wind was in our sails. We was dictating play. We deserved it. We deserved to go 2-0 up at that point.
Ricky, when you look at this still on the screen now. Yeah. Have you got an issue with Xavi Simons shooting, or should he have passed it?
I mean, he could have. He could have passed this. It's open, isn't it? But then, like Craig said, he saw Cowlin, so he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna shoot."
There you go. There you go. He's 10 yards. He's 10 yards out. To be fair to Callum Muani, he's 10 yards out, and he's I wouldn't have passed in that scenario. I certainly wouldn't have passed to Muani either.
Ricky, what would you have done here? Put it in top bins, I suppose.
Top bins all day long, bruv. I would have lifted it, made sure top bin, pat, like, what I mean? Nice little power shot there. make sure that the keeper's got no chance.
If anyone don't get the personal joke, I'm not explaining it. We're not.
It's all right. Mate, we'll be watching it. That's going to be the highlight of the summer for us, bruv. Let me tell you. And like highlight of our season is going to be that top bins goal, bruv. Hopefully we get out of this, but like if not, then it's that top bins goal. Goodness gracious.
Ricky, let's stay with you because just before the halftime break, Matoma equalised. What a goal this was. Would you like to see Matoma in a Spurs shirt?
I think he would do well in a Spurs shirt, definitely. And if the manager wanted him, then I'd want him. We've spoken about Matoma for a couple of seasons, actually.
Yeah.
Being almost like the successor to Son. I think he would do fantastic for us, but it's about the manager. If he wanted him, then I'm behind it because there's something just about De Zerbi. I know he's only been here 2 weeks, but I did never ever feel this with Frank, and obviously Tudor was just a stopgap. But I never ever felt this with Frank whatsoever, that he was a Tottenham guy or like I believed in what he said. In fact, I believe the total opposite of what Frank ended up saying by the end of it. But I believe what he says. So if he says he wanted Matoma, then I'd want him too. But the tragic thing about this is that player went down, and this was he was down for a while. The guy that Matoma came on for. He was down for a while, and it's because of that extra time coming on that this goal was conceded. Do you know what I mean? It repeats in the second half with Xavi and the cramp because we ended up having 8 minutes extra time then, and then we conceded in that time. So it's just one of those cruel twists of fate that Tottenham are attracted to right now.
Gareth, we know that we are on our worst league run since 1935. And of course, we haven't won a Premier League game in the calendar year of 2026. Now, at half-time, the team were actually applauded off by the fans. But Tottenham have failed to take a lead into half-time in 13 consecutive matches since doing so against Sunderland back in January. This is something that Roberto De Zerbi really does need to address as well.
Well, if he doesn't address it, our fit's sealed. We're gonna have to win games to stay up, pretty obviously. But I think that's what's disappointing. The conceding right before half time and then conceding right at the end just seems like a lack of concentration or a lack of fitness. I definitely think there was something in that today with the players cramping up suggests to me that we haven't been given everything over the last few weeks, and when we were putting so much under today, it told at the end, as it is. Danzo made that mistake at the end, but I don't know if it was, obviously players make mistakes, but I think it was a tired mistake because if you look at it after, he's almost on the floor as Van Hecker's going past him. He can barely stand up. He's that tired. I think, a fit player there probably just puts his foot through it and clears it. And Danzo's not the type of player really that takes risks. He kind of does get the ball away quite quickly. It's not really a ball-playing defender. So, yes, that statistic is going to have to change if we're going to be playing Premier League football next year. Make no mistake about it. We need to win games and starting next week, realistically. I mean, we can all be as positive as we want, and Ricky's pointed out there about he's very positive under this new manager. But yes, there'll be 4 games left after next week, but I don't think there'll be one Spurs fan out there that believes we can stay up if we don't win next week. I think that's just because we're playing Wolves as well. Here relegated at the bottom of the league. So, I mean, if you can't beat Wolves next week, then, if we would deserve to be relegated, I mean, if we can't go there and beat Wolves next week with them already relegated, us needing to win, it's hard to say that you would have any belief that they're going to do any better in the next 4. So, it's a must change quickly situation, and it's got Saturday will come around very quickly. The players will recover tomorrow. They'll come in on Monday, and they're going to have to work hard this week in training. De Zerbi is going to have to find a way to channel the positivity out of the performance and not so much the result, because he can't control what happens at Nottingham Forest tomorrow, and he can't control what happens when West Ham visit Selhurst Park on Monday night. the situation could be worse on Tuesday morning when they go on to train. It's his job as a manager to try and bring that positivity and just go, look, we play on Saturday. I believe we play first as well. I think that's a 3:00 game on Saturday. I believe the other teams play after us. So we've got an opportunity there to try and, claw some points back and sort of put the pressure on the others. But I know, Ricky, me and you had this, we had this chat, I think was a couple of nights ago. I do think, Chris, moving on to the final games, that it is a massive disadvantage. The Spurs are playing last. I think we're playing after the Wolves game. We're playing at the back end of the weekend. So if teams have positive results, it's going to be an even bigger ask for the manager to get the players up for the game, because I believe the Villa game is a Sunday at 7:00. The Leeds game is a Monday Night Football, and I believe because if we do expect Chelsea, they beat Leeds in the FA Cup, that game they'll play on the Saturday. I think they can play it at least the Tuesday. It could even be the Wednesday. So there's a good chance after Wolves, the next 3 games will be playing last out of all the teams, which isn't ideal. I mean, you hear about it all the time in the title race. The team that are going for, they always want to play first. They try and put the pressure on the other team, and it's very similar in this scenario that, if West Ham or Nottingham Forest won on Saturdays and we're going on to the Sunday or the Monday, needing day one, it's going to put even more pressure on the group. So I think we've got to take advantage of that game next week against Wolves that we're kicking off first to try and put these teams under pressure, because realistically, it's their only opportunity to do it, because we're going to be patiently waiting and hoping all our teams can do us favours before we play our game.
Craig, do you see it that way? Do you see it as a positive or negative if you're playing last or first? Because I expect that some people, there'll probably be a very mixed opinion about whether it's better playing first or last. What do you think?
It's a tough one, actually. I'm not sure. I think for me, it all depends on the results beforehand. If you're playing last, if say West Ham lost and Forest lost, then you're going into the game. They're going to be the ones wishing Spurs not to win. So, I suppose in a way, what you've got to do. You got to do if you're playing last. So
yeah, but what you've got to do is always win, whether you're whether the other teams have won or whether they've lost. You've still got to win, haven't you?
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not sure if it does it put more pressure on you. It probably does, but at the end of the day, we have to win our games, like you say, and we have to get points on the board, regardless.
Chris, I think when you're chasing, it makes a big difference. We're the team chasing as well.
Mm. But you know what? When the pressure's been on for us, we haven't turned up. We haven't turned up, whether it's been home or away.
Exactly,
or
Ricky.
Pressure on, pressure off. That Nottingham Forest game, that shouldn't have mattered about a lineup or tactics or anything. That Nottingham Forest game, the way that we built them up and sent them into that game, it should have been all about every ounce of your effort, sweat, will, desire to go out there and get something from that particular game. So we've had pressure on, we've had pressure off. That's why for me, it's like I'm almost blinkers. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to know. I don't want to know what the other teams do. I don't watch any other football apart from Tottenham right now, right? Because I just can't.
You're going to be forced into it.
I think that you're going to have to for the next few weeks.
Sorry, brother.
You're going to be forced into it because you're going to have to.
I know. But it's blinkers on time. I think just concentrate on yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. You can only deal with what's in front of you, right? And you was talking there about points and winning and getting up and above, and we can only concentrate on ourselves. It doesn't matter whether the pressure's on or pressure's off, because it still hasn't worked. We should have won today, yes, but it still hasn't worked, right? So we've got a point today. We've got to concentrate on ourselves again going into next week, and then just trying. Because the thing is that I don't know how this Tottenham side reacts to pressure, because when the pressure has been on, we've crumbled. So whether it's on or off, you just need to be concentrating on yourself right now. But I hear what you're saying, guys.
West Ham play Arsenal in a couple of weeks' time as well, which is Why do we always end up in these situations?
It's Tottenham, bruv. It's Tottenham.
Yeah. Ricky, just very quickly, how are you feeling at the half-time break? Because as I mentioned there, the players were applauded off, even though we'd just conceded, moments before. They were still applauded off because, talking about the key match instance there in the opening 45 minutes, not many chances there for Brighton.
No, but look. Going at the end of the first half, it was a sucker punch that we conceded that goal, right? It was, and you could feel it. I think Brighton felt it as well because they wanted to get up and get going and try and score another as soon as they could. But it was an encouraged first half. There was lots of things to be encouraged about, and I was thankful for the halftime whistle because I wanted De Zerbi to get hold of them and shake them back up and wake them back up and remind them of the good things that they were doing rather than the world's against them. Do you know what I mean? and I saw that reaction when they came out for the second. Yes, Brighton had their opportunities, but at least I saw that reaction. They didn't crumble, their heads didn't drop. They was like, no, come on, let's keep doing what we're doing, and we will get the rewards for it. And so I like to see that. We haven't seen that type of reaction in a while, i.e. Nottingham Forest. Same thing happened right before halftime and took the wind out of ourselves and took all the energy out of our calf muscle where we was like Xavi at the end there. Nobody could run in that game and we ended up losing 3-0. So, to see the reaction today was a good one. They're standing up. This is what I'm saying. This is what encourages me today. And I'm just going to take it game by game, week by week right now because it's been so bad for so long. And there's only been one direction that we've been heading. There's not been no dream. There's not been no optimism. There's not been no positivity. I haven't seen it. I couldn't find it. But today, they stood up and they were in the fight. And we got a point. All right. So, if the way I described it to a friend of mine is as if the last couple of weeks we've been hanging off a cliff and holding on by our fingernails, but we can't lift ourselves up. Well, today we at least lifted ourselves up enough to get our elbow on the edge. Now, whether we can get out of this hole, I don't know. Whether we can, not fall off the cliff, I don't know. But at least we've got our elbow on the ridge right now. And, there is something about them. They wanted to survive today. They wanted to fight today. They wanted to win today. And that's the first time I've seen it in a very, very long time within the league.
Yeah, and it's nice hearing a much more positive version of you today and Craig as well, particularly talking last week after that Sunderland game. Right, second half, Gareth, let's come to you. I've written down here, after 47 minutes, ball played to Cowlin and the ball got caught under his feet, but we won't even go there. A couple of minutes later, Brighton on the attack, 2 shots blocked by the Tottenham Hotspur defence. A minute later, Brighton corner headed towards goal, completely unmarked. I've said this a couple of times. Defensively, I think that De Zerbi obviously needs more time to work with these players. On 53 minutes, De Zerbi was given a yellow card for constantly being out of the technical area, as I've mentioned. On 57 minutes, a double sub. Basuma and Mawani going off and Tell and Gray coming on. Gareth, what have you made of Archie Gray this season in a Spurs shirt? And Matisse Tell, how good can he be for Tottenham?
I think Archie Gray has been one of the better players. And there hasn't been many of those. I'm not sure if there will be a end of season awards, but if there is, I think Archie Gray is a contender. I think he's constantly asked to play in different positions. He's arrived at Tottenham during I know he won the Europa League, but he's arrived during a real period of turbulence. He's been asked to play right back, centre back, left back, a number 6, number 8. He's been all over. He's been all over the place, and he's always given his best. And I think it's a lot to be asked of a player that had no Premier League experience to come on and they, play with such a struggling team, so many different managers, so many different positions. And I think ultimately it'll be a positive for him. because I think, they suffer these setbacks and not really been able to get on their rhythm in an actual settled spot for a period of 20, 30 games is going to be beneficial for his career. So I think there's light at the end of the tunnel with Gray, whether we're in the Premier League or the Championship. I think he is a player that can go on to do good things for this football club. Matisse Tell, on the other hand, I haven't seen enough, Chris. I know certain fans seem to be gassing him up from time to time, but I really don't see what some of them see. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to believe in a player. I'm at the point now where I've kind of wrote him off. I just haven't seen enough in 18 months to suggest that he's ever going to be a top player for this football club. And Chris, I can't think of too many players that have had as long as he had and went on to be great players for Spurs. I kind of feel that it needs to happen within the first year. Many goals has he scored? He wouldn't even have 5 goals, would he? And he's played a lot. I know maybe not always started, but he's had more than enough opportunities. I can't think of too many times where he's been injured. And with the amount of injuries we've had, he's had a lot of opportunities. And I know he's played maybe right, left, and through the middle. He's maybe not always had a settled position, but I would have liked to seen a lot more for the reputation that he had when he left Bayern Munich. I mean, I think if he was put up for sale this summer, I can't see any top clubs queuing to get him. I don't think his stock's as high as what it was. So, is he a better option than Colomani? Definitely. But in regards to a long-term future at Tottenham, I don't really think he's shown enough for us as fans or the club they maybe think about he could be the future here. I think if we got a decent offer in the summer, you could probably move him on. In fact, look, I'm a big suspicious type of person, and when Bayern Munich decided to let him go for 30 million, I thought right away, well, there's a rat there. Why would they let him go for 30 million if they believed he was going to be a top player? How often do you see big players at Real Madrid or Bayern Munich let go for such a cheap fee and go on to do brilliant things for another team? If he was good enough, he'd be in the Bayern Munich team, or they would be happy to have him as a squad player. He's never really established himself as a first team player here. And you think about the many injuries we've had. And there's been different managers, you could argue maybe hasn't helped them, but in our way, they've all had maybe different ideas and preferred different players. He's never really been a first choice under any of them. So I don't see much optimism for Matisse Tell. Maybe I'm being harsh, but that's just the way I see it.
In answer to your question, 6 goals in 52 appearances in all competitions, 5 goals in the Premier League. Craig, let's come to you. This was an incident that Gareth mentioned earlier on in the show. After 58 minutes, excellent pressing and closing down from Conor Gallagher, closing down the goalkeeper. What did you make of Conor Gallagher's performance today? Because this, I suppose, is the Conor Gallagher that we all thought that we were signing.
Yeah, I thought it was probably his best performance in the Tottenham shirt, I would suggest, for a whole game. He did a hell of a lot of running. As you say, closed down that another day that just hits his foot or his leg and goes in the net. We've seen it happen before. He was everywhere today, Conor Gallagher. But funny enough, he was playing in his natural position. So you kind of get that when you put players in their natural position. So good performance by Gallagher today. But you want to see it every week, don't you? He's obviously the club's the highest earner, so we're led to believe. So he's got to start showing why he's worth getting that money, obviously, and what happens to him if we get relegated, it probably gets moved on, I'd imagine. But just want to see more of it from Gallagher, but good performance today.
Yeah. After 64 minutes, Brighton put a cross in, Kevin Danso headed away. 3 minutes later, João Palhinha came on, Bentancur went off. And then just a minute later, João Palhinha with a shot, instant impact from him. Goalkeeper saved out for a corner. And then we heard this huge roar particularly from the south stand at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Craig, let me ask you about Bentancur. What do you make of his return in a Spurs shirt? Because, of course, he's been out for the last 3 months or so. And João Palhinha, I know we mentioned this earlier on. If we do remain in the Premier League, would you like to see him signed on a permanent deal?
Personally, yeah, Palhinha. I've been I think there's been games where he's been very, very good. Certainly earlier in the season, scored a couple of overhead kicks, didn't he? Even though that's not what he's known for. But I personally think Palhinha would be a good member to have in the squad next season. Bentancur, I thought, was brilliant today, considering he's been out for a number of months. I thought he controlled the game very well, very calm on the ball. Again, playing in his more natural position. I just felt that I suppose that is the word. It's just an element of calm. He made the game look easy in what was some difficult situations today, just turning out of trouble, doing things that actually probably aren't really impressive, as in playing through balls and progressive passing, but just doing the simple thing. And he was always, you watch Bentancur, he tends to be, when he has a good game, he's always in the right place just to stop a ball going through or put in a tackle. And that's what I think we're going to need, that bit of calmness in the middle of the park, because it's been chaotic, that midfield this season. And to have somebody there and put their foot on the ball and just remain calm, I think Bentancur, if he can stay fit, can be that player.
Craig, could I just ask you your opinion on the last 20 minutes or so of the game? Because the pressing throughout the match up to the 70-minute mark was excellent from Spurs. And then there was a bit of a groan from the home fans today around 72 minutes, because Brighton were playing it along their defence, and the fans were like, come on, press. And Spurs just seemed to take their foot off the gas a little bit.
They did, but I think that comes down to what we were talking about earlier, and just I think that comes down to fitness. I think they put in such a shift. I don't think they're used to playing that way. And yes, they've had a week or so under De Zerbi. They certainly didn't play that way under Tudor. So essentially, they haven't had to have that level of, I wouldn't say level of fitness, because they're all fit people, but to certainly play in that way, they haven't had that since Ange. And even under Ange Postecoglou, we didn't play Ange ball essentially for months. So, you know, normally you'd have a pre-season to work on this, wouldn't you? And they haven't. They've had a few weeks essentially. So they're going to run out of steam on 75, 80 minutes. So I'm not surprised to see that today.
Ricky, let's come to you. On 76 minutes, De Zerbi made a double sub. Spence and Bergvall coming on, Gallagher and Udogie going off. And as I mentioned there about João Palhinha having an instant impact, so did Lucas Bergvall, because he assisted Xavi Simons a minute after coming on. What a fantastic goal from Xavi Simons. And there's no better person to talk about this than old Top Bins Norwood, is there? You're on mute.
What can I say, bro? What can I say? Well, do you know what? Great work by Bergvall. Great work to nick it off the Brighton player there and make the intelligent pass. It wasn't the obvious pass. It was the intelligent through ball into Xavi, and then for him to dribble and find his feet and then find the space and then put it. I mean, it was close to top bins, wasn't it? I mean, posting in though, man. Beautiful goal, beautifully struck, a proper goal. Do you know what I mean? That was one to get excited by, man. It really pleased for him, really pleased for us at that point. I was roaring. I haven't roared at a goal in ages, you know, so that was a fantastic one, man. And it was worthy to be the winner, to be fair. It was worthy to be a winning goal. But yeah, man. It was just a really good, intelligent play by Bergie. Played into Xavi, and just it's just an indictment of what Xavi could be. You know, if we played the right way, once he clicks, which you're seeing, you know, it's just a kind of a tease of what's to come next season. If the great escape happens, because he is phenomenal in that position. Also, Chris, I would say as well, like your doggy's played a couple of games now, and I really don't think he had the greatest of games today. There were many times where he was just, I think it was more mentally sharp. He was just switching off at runners, getting in behind him and letting balls go into Brighton, and some of his touch wasn't really there. You can still tell that he's finding his feet and trying to get back to match fitness right now. But I thought that was a good sub as well, that Spence came on at that point. Spence didn't do as much as I would have liked, but I felt it was a good sub to make too.
Gareth, do you want to add anything on Xavi Simons' goal?
I thought when he scored it, we were going to win, to be honest. I thought that was going to be the moment that inspired the survival, because it was just one of those special goals. And there's just something about a goal going in off the post or crossbar, the way he had it. And I kind of felt when he went to hit it, he was going to score as well. And I haven't felt that way about a player for quite some time. I think we've got a potentially top player there. We've got to find a way to get it out of him now, especially in these next 5 games. I think he could be the key to keeping us in the league, to be totally honest. Can't really expect Madison to come back and do it for how long he's been out. Kulusevski's not going to be back, I would imagine, before the end of the season as well. So you're relying on kind of Xavi Simons to be that special difference. You know what? And you look at West Ham, who I think is probably going to be us or West Ham. They haven't really got a player like that. Jared Bowen's a good goal scorer, but they haven't got a Xavi Simons like that can do something in the number 10 area and create great passes and score great goals like that. So look, if we get the best out of Xavi Simons over the next 5 games, it gives us a huge opportunity to stay in this league, as long as we defend properly and work as hard as we did today. And the one thing I would say to the players, and whatever pain that's going to come in the next 5 weeks in terms of cramp, in terms of fatigue, in terms of mental tests, it'll all be worth it if they stay in the league. No one wants to be associated with this relegation. Manager, players, club, fans. We'd all, in very different circumstances, of course, but I think the stadium would be buzzing on the final day of the season if Spurs survive, which is crazy to say that, but because of the situation now, I think it would be, just relief and joy, and hopefully, we've hit rock bottom and the only way is up. So the next 5 games, I think if we can get Xavi Simons how he was today, we've got a chance.
Craig, looking at those images there of seeing Xavi Simons celebrate, and like Gareth said there, we all thought it was going to be the winning goal. Obviously we'll come on to talk about their equaliser in the 95th minute in a second, but we haven't had enough positive moments, particularly at home in the Premier League this season. And, like I've mentioned a couple of times, only 2 wins in the Premier League all this Premier League campaign. It just simply hasn't been good enough.
It's just ridiculous. Every time you hear that statistic, it's just like absolutely ridiculous. How has that happened? How the hell has that happened? When I saw that stadium today with all the flags and, I don't know how many were in the stadium today, but it looked like it was fairly almost at capacity. I thought, imagine, I just can't picture in my mind that stadium in playing championship football, with the greatest respect to teams in the championship.
Yeah.
It just beggars belief. I just think, how's it got to this? Seeing us in the championship, it's scary. It's frightening. And you would, moments like that, Xavi Simons, the only thing he did wrong, in my opinion, was do what Richarlison did and take his shirt off. I thought, why are you taking your shirt off? I get the emotion of it. I do get the emotion of it. But when you look at the clock, to actually when he scored, you think, well, come on, that's... We've got a fair bit of time left. We've got a fair bit of time. There's 13 minutes plus injury time. And, there's a lot of football still to be played. And it was ultimately was the result, wasn't it? They got the goal back. So yeah. If it was a 90th minute, I'd think, okay, just go mental. But yeah, Yeah, it's just such a shame because it deserved that goal deserved to be the winning goal.
Craig, of all the key incidents that we've spoken about the game, I want to go back to this stat. Goalkeeper saves. Kinski only made one save in the game. Brighton didn't have that many chances at all, but they did hit the side netting on 93 minutes. And after that moment, I looked down at Roberto De Zerbi and he was telling his team, look, just calm down. There are just moments left of this game. See the game out. Let's win the match. And then, of course, 95th minute, heartbreak. And like he said in the press conference there, it does feel like a defeat, even walking, from the stadium to the car. You just think, you've got to grab these moments when you're 2-1 up and only won 2 Premier League games, all, Premier League campaign. You've got to be winning this match. What did you make of the 95th minute equaliser from Rutter?
It was heartbreak. It was a good strike, but Spurs it could have been so easily avoided. It really could. Obviously, you say about Danzo, he was out on his feet. Perhaps he wasn't thinking quite. I don't know what. I mean, he was obviously been told to try and dribble it out there, and it's just kind of time that you just lose it into Rose Ed. It was a good finish. That's Solanke trying to get back and shut him down, and unfortunately didn't get there. No chance for Kinski. I think if we'd survived that attack, I think we would have actually gone on to win the game. And it's just one of those. It's just a sucker punch, isn't it? Players obviously absolutely distraught. Javi Simmons looked like he was about to cry when that went in. It was just, when your luck's not going for you, luck's not going for you. Although technically you make your own luck in this game, don't you? And a couple of bad decisions, and he's gone from 3 points to 1.
One thing we can't do, Chris, over the next 5 games is make individual errors like that. We can't give teams legs up, and it's a funny way. Craig's right. When you're down there at the bottom of the league, how many times do you see teams get bad luck or things go against them? I mean, 0.84 XG for Brighton today. They scored 2 goals. Our goalkeeper made 1 save. Punished to the maximum with 2 great finishes from Brighton. So you need to expect that. Over the next 5 games, if we make mistakes, we're going to get crucified. So it's got to come out of the players over the next 5. If you're not sure, just get rid of it. Yeah,
and that goal from Mitoma, he'll never score another one like that. It was just, it's like the West Ham goal. I can't remember who scored it. Do you remember when we were 3-0 up and Bale could have made it 4-0? Lanzini. And it's just, he'll never hit another one like it. And it does seem to happen a lot to Spurs, doesn't it? It's weird, really weird.
Right, we've really run over. We're 2.5 hours in this podcast. We're actually talking about the game longer than it was actually played. So, Ricky, final 2 points. Now, the first question is Wolves next at Molineux, next Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. Of course, it is another must-win. You're going to hear me say that every week now for the remaining 5 Premier League games. They're all must-wins. We've got to win this one, especially against a side sitting bottom of the table. Virtually relegated already, although in March they picked up 4 points out of 2 matches, beating Liverpool 2-1 at Molineux and then drawing 2-2 away at Brentford. Recently, they lost 4-0 away at West Ham, and today they lost 3-0 away at Leeds United. What are you expecting? What team would you like to see De Zerbi put out? And also the other question, or the other point, talk about anything else that we haven't covered in this podcast.
For me, the team I'd like him to put out, I'd like him to start Kinski again. I would go Spence left back and maybe give your doggy just that bit of a rest, or maybe like bring him on off the bench in the second half and let him kind of be an impact sub at that point. But Kinski in goal. Danzo, Van der Ven, Porro again. I'd like to see the same midfield to be fair, but more so like Benson, Gallagher, Xavi. Do you know what? I'd go with the same type of team, but I would go Tell for Mawani, I'll try and get Xavi in the middle, but he done it anyway. So I'd go to pretty much the same team, apart from Tel and I don't know. I would change Basuma, but he done okay today. So yeah, but I definitely start Tel. Put it that way. And Kinski. And what do I think is going to happen? 4-1, mate. We're going to win 4-1. That's going to be my prediction until the end of the season, until we win 4-1, bruv. But yeah, it's going to be a 4-1 win. That's going to be the moment that we win our first game, and then we start the 5-game winning run. Let's have it. Let's go.
Do you know an incredible stat? Spurs have picked up 6 points. That's 6 draws in the calendar year of 2026. And I've just worked out that Wolves have picked up a staggering 14 points in 2026.
Everything from the season is said that we have deserved to be the ones in this position right now. At every single opportunity that we've had for a very, very long time. You know, you were talking about that Brentford game, 0-0. Well, I don't know what we was hanging on for a 0-0 for. I don't know why we didn't go for the winner in that game, and that was under Frank. You know, there's been many. The Palace, the Fulham game, the Nottingham Forest game, the Sunderland game. You know, today, so if you look on what the evidence is, you would say there's only one way it's going. But today they stood up and they wanted to be a part of the fight. So that's all I'm doing. I'm on the fight for the next one. That's all I can do, mate. Before I just about had a prayer. Now I've got a dream and a prayer. So let's keep that going. And that's all I'm keeping the blinkers on. And it's Tottenham. I don't care about any other side. Don't care.
Ricky, anything else you'd like to talk about that we haven't spoke about yet?
I think we've done it. Oh, yeah, I do want. Yeah, one thing. How many yellow cards has Arteta got?
Yeah.
How many yellow cards? I don't know if anyone in the comments knows. I don't know if ChatGPT. I want to know how many yellows Arteta has got. Because you're going to tell me, yes, my manager today was running about and he was nowhere near his technical area. But for him to get a yellow and Arteta to get away with it every single week, you've got to be having me on, ain't ya? You got to be having me on. I just want to know how many yellows he's got, because he camps outside of that technical area. So
that's more of a dig at the officials again, isn't it?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's a dig at somebody. I just want to know how many yellows that guy's got. That's all I want to know.
Gareth, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking we have to beat Wolves. That's what I'm thinking. Look, it's a fixture that, other than being at home, you couldn't ask for surely a better fixture for next week. The fact that they're as good as down, there's 15 points available. They're 15 points behind with 20 goals, so they're effectively relegated. If we had held on at the end, they would have been officially relegated. So I don't think there's anyone at Wolves believes they've any chance of getting out of this now. So you're playing against a team that virtually have nothing to play for, other than pride. So judging their yes, they had a bit of a fight back there over the last couple of months, but if you look at those last 2 games, it seems as if now they know they're fit. The fact that West Ham put 4 past them and Leeds put 3 past them, we should go into this game feeling that we have got it. We're more than good enough to win this game, and that we have to win this game. So I agree with Ricky. We can't believe anything else. We have to believe we're going to win this game. I don't think it'll be as comfortable as Ricky's scoreline, but it'll be great if we could do it like that. But I'm going to say we're going to win 2-0. The team I'd like to see, similar to Ricky, I would bring Spence on for you, doggy. I would bring Bergvall in for Basuma. And I would bring Richarlison in for Muyani, unless Madison's fit. The only thing I would say with Madison is, if you're not going to play him next week, then it could all be over next week. So we may be forced into playing him in some capacity, because, depending on how the results go, if we don't beat Wolves, if the worst happens over the next 2 games, over the next 2 days, and Forest and West Ham get their ones, if we don't beat Leeds, Maddison may as well sit out the rest of the season, because it's done for me. I don't see a way back, because you're talking about being 5, maybe 6 points behind before the other teams even play. So we could be 7 or 8 points behind with 4 games left. That's for me. I don't see a way out of it. So I think if Maddison's anyway ready, maybe bring him in. But if he's not, I would bring Richarlison. I'll play Xavi Simons in the 10 and put Solanke and Richarlison up front, and then the 3 in midfield behind Bentancur, Gallagher, and Bergvall. So that's what I would do. But I'm sure Roberto De Zerbi is going to have headaches all week, because realistically, yes, he's about to go on today, but how much can you trust certain players to perform next week? That'll be what's going through his head, because there's not a lot of evidence out there this season that the players can. But he's got to believe that it happens next week. And look, regardless of what happens tomorrow and Monday, if we beat Wolves, I think we get more belief. Even if those other teams won, as long as if we won, that gives us belief. And let's be honest, right? We're a better team. We've got better players than West Ham and Nottingham Forest. So look, we maybe there is more Xavi Simons moments in there. If Maddison comes back, can he score a free kick? Anything, we're clutching at straws here, but this is where it's desperate. So let's just hope for a positive outcome over the next week. And if we beat Wolves, even if we're still 2 or 3 points behind, I think getting that first one's key. I think if it went to Norway, Chris, where say West Ham and Forest both lost, but we then go and lose to Wolves, I don't think that gives us any belief. I think we need to win that game to give us belief that, yes, we can do this ourselves. Of course, if we can get some help along the way, great. But can we go and win a few games? They basically try and pull ourselves out of it and not rely on ours. But in regards to anything else, Chris, I suppose we've probably covered everything. I suppose I'll ask you lads this, because I actually asked Chris this the other day. If the worst comes to the worst and the last day of the season we're relegated, what will you do, or what will you do come? I think the games kick off at 4 o'clock. What will you do on that Sunday at 6 o'clock?
Let everyone in on this conversation, because Gareth and I spoke a couple of days ago, and Gareth actually asked me this on the phone and said, Chris, if we're relegated on the last day of the season against Everton, are you going to go to the pub, or are you going to record the podcast? And I was like, and he said, well, you can't exactly say, welcome to the Spurs Chat Podcast, we've just been relegated, can you? And I was like, oh my God, I haven't even thought of that. I have not even thought of that. That the fact that I'd be sitting here, Craig, Ricky, and somebody else would be there, and we'd be talking about relegation. I don't think I could do that.
Even Ricky,
you know what? Let's just
you couldn't even spin a positive Ricky after that.
Shut it down. All right. There is no need to answer this question because the question has not been asked.
You're right.
Let's leave it. Let's deal with it when we get there. All right. If we get there, let's just take it one game at a time. Let's not. There's enough rubbish and negativity and bad energy around us. We don't need to project anymore. Let's just keep it inside. Let's hold on to it. We can have the discussion at another time. We don't. We do not need to be having those those images in our head, especially at the end of this show. Please, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, Gareth.
Podcast to be confirmed then, Chris.
Gareth, you're out of order again. So do not mention it to me on the phone. Do not mention it here. Roberto just told us in the press conference, we don't want to hear negative people. We don't want to hear negative things. If you've got any negativity in your mind, you keep it to yourself.
Yeah, we're going to win all 5 games, aren't
we? Or bring Craig. Craig, are we winning at Molineux next week?
Yeah, I think we are. I agree with most of what the chap said about. I personally, I think I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. I think we'll get a clean sheet as well. Why not? Why not? I think it's you've got to. If we don't, that's it. I'm giving up. I've given up. I'd kind of given up anyway, but seeing today's kind of pulled me back in a little bit. We lose at Wolves. We don't win at Wolves. That's it. We're done. We're down 100%. Yeah. And that is how big it is. As we've said, It's going to be interesting over the next 2 days to see how Notts Forest and West Ham get on. I still think, looking at Forest fixtures after tomorrow, they've got a horrific run. And as Gareth said, some weird results can happen. But Forest are still in Europe as well. So they're going to have one eye on that. They lost Murillo. They lost, who else did they lose? Chris Wood to injury, Murillo, and somebody else, Hudson-Odoi. So I've no idea if they're fit and ready to play tomorrow. I have no idea. But, you know, they have got a really tough run of fixtures coming up as well, as have West Ham, as have we. But, you know, take some solace in that they're going to be feeling it as well. Yes, they're down there and they've been there before. They know what it's all about. But we showed something today. We did show a little something today. So if we can get that first win at Wolves, going into the Villa and the Leeds and then Chelsea and whoever else, we've got a chance. While there's still a chance, we've got a chance. So 100% for me. You make changes. I would probably, again, I agree, bring in Spence, and I'd definitely bring in Bergvall and replace Kalamoani with Richarlison Hotel. Apart from that, you probably keep Bentancur and the defence and everybody else as was. Whether you bring Vicario in, that'll be up to the manager. And if Vicario's fit, I think if he's fit, he plays. But let's see how that one goes.
Craig, thank you so much for all your time today. Thanks so much for all you do on this podcast week by week. We've got 5 podcasts left, and let's hope that we are smiling a little bit more than we have done, this season. Let's be positive. Yes. Craig, where can people find you on social media?
No problem, Chris. Thanks for that. At Dearman9 on X. I won't be on after the Wolves game, so whoever is on, I hope you're talking about a win.
Thank you, Craig. What's your score prediction, by the way?
3-0.
3-0. Ricky, what's your score prediction?
4-1, mate.
4-1. And Gareth, you gone with 2-0, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 1-0, but I tell you what, it just doesn't matter what the score is as long as Spurs get the 3 points. Ricky, what are you up to at the moment? Tell us all about the podcast that you do with Darren. How's it all going?
Really, really good, man. I should have some good news for you guys in the near future on what's happening in the future. So I will let you know when I can let you know. But Tea Talking Tottenham is the podcast that I do with my brother Darren Hart, and it's just two mates going through this madness. What is Tottenham Hotspur? So you if you want to find us, Tea Talking Tottenham, all one word, in YouTube. You can find us there. You can find us on Twitter and on Instagram. And man, we're on the road to 1,000 subs. So come over, sub up. We do it every 2 weeks, stroke 10 days, but we'll be doing it after every 2 games now. Man, if you can handle some more Spurs chat, come find us, man. Come find us. But as always, gents, always, and listen, win, lose, draw, or that other word beginning with R. Always an honour and a pleasure, always an honour and a pleasure, regardless of the result, and always an honour and a pleasure to be on with all you beautiful people around the world. So we will see you. I will see you next time after Wolves, and smiling and celebrating after our first win of the Premier League season and the road to survival. So come on, you Spurs, let's have it.
You're on the Wolves one?
I'm hoping to be. I've got to check something first.
Here we go.
I've got to check the times because
he's in the ruler.
But I've got to check the times.
Come on, we're going to get back to winning ways, and Craig and Ricky are not going to be there.
Listen, I might even just do it in the car. If I've got the gig next week, I might even just do it in the car on the way, just because when we win, of course, we've got to be smiling for that one.
It could be after 118 days without a Premier League win that Spurs finally do it. We've got to. It has to happen. It has to happen.
That's ridiculous when you say it like that, though, isn't it? Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. 118 days. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
My goodness. The afro you could have had, Craig. I'm telling you. All they had to do was win.
Honestly. I'd look like Frank, wouldn't I? My word.
Ricky, would you do what Frank has done, the Manchester United fan? If you've started all this saying that we could win the next 5 games, so don't have any haircuts until we win 5 games in a row.
What? I mean, the next one I've got to have, but I'm trying to grow my hair anyway, so it's like But no, I'm not going to do that. No. There's things I need my haircut for in the next couple of days. So no, I can't do that one.
Not that confident then.
I'm always confident, but not very much with Tottenham.
He's not one. He's not one of the rescues good looks.
And then we can crack on.
Gareth. Honestly, no wonder why we've been recording for nearly 3 hours. Gareth, where can people find you? What are you up to?
Oh, it's always brilliant being on when Ricky's on, I have to say.
Just give us your OnlyFans account, Gareth. Come on, hurry up, son.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. I know I haven't been on for a bit there, but I hope to get on before the end of the season again. So I'm sure you'll see me again. But
we've got spaces next week.
Give me a shout next week. You probably get loads of spaces now coming up. But look, very busy with football. Cup match tomorrow with a league match today. So as you know, I'm a coach and I take under 9. So always busy at the weekend. Maybe I'm a bit like you. I do get some victories at the weekends through football. So it's good that can try and pick me up, because Spurs has been very, very tough this season. But look, we're not done with yet, as Ricky says. Positive energy over the next sort of few weeks, and let's start believing, and let's hope on Saturday we get that first one of 2026, and we look at that as a real game changing moment in the season. So, Chris, thanks for having me on again. I know it's been difficult for you this year, with Spurs. So fair play to you for sticking it out and keeping going and keep giving the fans these therapy sessions, because it has been very, very tough. So I can only imagine what it's like when you're running a podcast like this. So fair play. Thanks to all the viewers. Plenty of people watching, plenty of questions. A couple of Irish people as well saying where they were from. I'm from Derry, right on the border. So people always ask me this, north or south. But I suppose unless you're from here, you wouldn't know. Well, that's actually a big question. You have to be very careful how you answer that over here. You from the north or the south? But right on the border, so make up your minds of that. But no, thanks for having me on, and come on, you Spurs.
Can I just say, does anybody else do this? Do you be doing something and say, if I don't know, you might have a bit of paper and you think, right, if I get this screwed up bit of paper and it lands in the bin, Tottenham are staying in the Premier League. Does anybody else do that sort of thing? If such and such happens, then this is going to happen. A couple of things have happened this week to me that I've said, oh, if such and such happens, Spurs staying in, and they've not been easy things. And one of them was I was played golf and said if I break 80, Spurs are staying in the Premier League, and I broke 80, so I got 77.
Mine is a bit different. Yeah. When Cowlin gets a ball, I close my eyes and hope by the time it opens it because I'm done it. But
I say something realistic, Gareth, not Cowlin scoring a goal. Do
you know what, Craig? I keep seeing one magpie. And I saw one magpie last week, and I saw it today as well. Not the same one, different one, obviously.
How do you know it wasn't the same one? Might have been the same one. Could be following you around.
What, flying from Sunderland?
They do fly. They got wings. Yeah, flying south for the summer. No, it don't work. I know. Yeah,
we need a rainbow over the stadium. That's what we need.
Yeah, need a miracle.
Ricky, do you want to answer this ridiculous question from Craig?
No, I do, but I've got 4 jokes that I can't say. Like, not one of them I can say right now. And I tried to think of a better one, but I can't. So I'm not going to, all right? But I'm just loving the positivity. Let's keep these things going, all right? I'm going to do a couple of things this week where I'm going to challenge myself that if I do A, B, or C, then Tottenham is staying up, and I will let you know by the next one what those things were.
Do you know, Ricky, I'm really surprised that I've not received a text message from Craig during this podcast to say, please hurry up. Because you remember last week, he was hurrying us up with the player ratings.
Yeah. And the drawers haven't been shuffled yet either. Do you know what I mean?
know. What's happened to you, Craig?
Yeah, earlier, that's what it was.
Yeah. I didn't expect a 3-hour one, to be honest with you. But
the Masters was on last week, wasn't it?
The Masters was on last week. Yeah. It's much more important than football. Come on, get with the programme.
Well, after 118 days, let's hope the Spurs can get back to winning ways. Next Saturday against bottom of the side Wolves. Honestly, we're going to have everything crossed, and hopefully it will be a decent and a good podcast with four of us smiling on it after the game at Molineux. But I just want to say a big heartfelt thank you to all of the viewers and listeners, because a lot of you have stayed with us all season, and like Gareth just touched on there, it's been a very, very difficult season to cover again. But we are just about to reach 210,000 subscribers. So honestly, your support is just unbelievable. And, you guys watch on YouTube, on X, Facebook, etc., and also listen, day in, day out to all of the editions that we put out on all major audio platforms. So I just want to say a huge thank you. And I probably don't thank enough people on a regular basis like we should do. So a big thank you to all of you for watching and listening, day in, day out, week in, week out, game in, game out. So yeah, a big thank you to everyone. We will be back obviously next week after the game against Wolves. Craig, thank you. Ricky, thank you. Gareth, thank you. And thanks for watching as always, everyone. And we will see you on the next one. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on.